It's a Sunday. That means we got to check with our resident NFL insider on the program to find out what the hell is going on with the New York Jets and the rest of the league, including Sauce Gardner's contract. Very interesting. All that more coming up here on Boy Green Daily.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your friggin' podcast, people, if you prefer not to stare at my melon, which I imagine that list is even longer than the people that watch the show, but that's neither here nor there. Welcome to the program. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like the video, hit subscribe, baby. It is a Sunday, which means we do our weekly check-in with our resident NFL insider, Matt Lombardo. Make sure you guys go to the direct link down below to his Substack. Between the hash marks, it gives you the very latest NFL news, analysis, insight. I mean, this guy has all the answers, and we have all the questions. So it's a perfect marriage, black and white, mac and cheese, yin and yang. So without further ado, let's dabble in this. Let's dip our toes in those juicy, handsome Matt Lombardo waters. He joins us now. What's up, Matt?
Oh, another Sunday. Great to be talking Jets. Mini camp coming up this week. We're one step closer.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll be recapping mini camp, looking ahead to training camp. It doesn't feel like football weather, but we're getting closer to real football on the horizon.
That's it. So no players skipping things for random foreign trips we have to worry about, at least that we're currently aware of. So we'll see what happens with that next week. I'm sure we'll get into that before the show's over as well. And then the 6-week gap, the Grand Canyon hole until we get to training camp. So, let's get it while the getting's good here, Mr. Matt Lombardo. And one of the storylines that will certainly be happening next week at minicamp and during that 6-week gap is, will the Jets be willing to extend any of their young stars? It's going to be a topic of whether to do or not do. Darren Muji, the new general manager, and Aaron Glenn have talked about the importance of retaining their own. And obviously the names of Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson have come up. And what people want to know is the Sauce Gardner one, because he is a very interesting case study. What's the right thing to do? They accepted the 5th-year option this offseason. He's under contract for the next 2 seasons, 2025, 2026. So he wouldn't even hit unrestricted free agency until 2027. Do you pay him now? Do you pay him later? What are you hearing, Matt?
Yeah, Paul, on paper, the right thing to do when you look at a player of Sauce Gardner's caliber is you follow the blueprints of, say, the Philadelphia Eagles or the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs. You sign your guys early, you beat the market, you get them at an affordable rate, right? But I don't get the sense that that's the Jets' line of thinking here. And we touched on this last week, that there are different ways to structure contracts for it to wind up being a win for the player. And I reached out to an executive who represents a handful of high-end cornerbacks around the league. And I said, look, I know you don't rep Sauce, but if he was your client, what would your goal be? What would be the number? And he said, quote, it's a difficult negotiation. He said that if he were repping him, he'd be asking for top 5 money, but he's not sure that the Jets are going to go there. And he thinks that the Jets' goal was going to get to see him in 1 year in Steve Wilkes' system, 1 year playing for Aaron Glenn before they make a full evaluation. He's not sure if Sauce would agree to that, but that seems to be the Jets' line of thinking going into this, according to an agent that I spoke to, Paul. And it's fascinating because you start to look at some of the cornerback numbers, and yes, Denzel Ward broke the bank, reset the market with that $105 million deal. I could see a world where you look at the total value of the contract somewhere in the area of Denomini Lenore, $88 million total. And you look at the guarantee on that, maybe you guarantee somewhere upwards of $80 to $82 million, just outside of the top 5 in total value. But you're very close to hitting that that total guarantee benchmark as the number one corner in the league in that regard. It's going to be fascinating to see it unfold. But, Paul, it just seems like this is going to be one of those things that hangs over at least the next couple of weeks, maybe the next couple of months.
Yeah, let's get into that because that's fascinating because there's been a few varying perspectives on where Sauce Gardner goes from here. His first 2 years, obviously, he was brilliant. He was a first-team All-Pro in both of those seasons. That's the first time a corner had achieved that since the merger and the modern era, quite frankly, since 1970 of being able to accomplish that. Last year was not as good as those 2 seasons. It was still fine, but it wasn't those first 2 seasons. So there have been some people that have said, Connor Hughes has come out that the Jets, he believes that the negotiation for Sauce Gardner is give him a penny more than Derek Stingley, who's the highest paid corner in football right now at $30 million per year. There's been others who are saying we're not gonna if we have the leverage of 2 more years of control, why rush to make him the highest paid? If he was giving us a deal and there's 2 years left, he gets some financial security. We get sort of a deal that works out for both parties. So is it as simple? And maybe it's not based on what you just said, but I just want to make sure I reiterate it. Is it as simple as, hey, who's the highest paid corner right now? Okay, penny more than that guy. Is it just that simple over total overall value and that APY number for Sauce?
Yeah, I think that that's how the agent would be looking at it, right? I think that if you're representing Sauce Gardner, you're looking at the board and you're seeing Derek Stingley, $90 million, go get $90 million and $1. That's what you're looking to do. I just don't get the sense from people that I spoke to the Jets are willing to go there just yet, especially after what happened a year ago. And that's where you start to think, okay, if you're not going to hit the APY number, what can you come out of this negotiation with a win looking like? And you start looking at the total guarantees. I mean, you look at J.C. Horn, $100 million APY, $72 million guaranteed. You start looking at Marlon Humphrey's deal, $97 million APY, 67.5 total guaranteed. You start to guarantee more of the money. Perhaps that's the sweet spot, and that's the needle that you try to thread. But I was really surprised talking to this agent because I look at Sauce Gardner as maybe one of the top 5 to 6 cornerbacks in the NFL. So you'd expect top 5 or better cornerback money. You'd expect to reset the market. And if you're the Jets, it might behoove you to get the deal done now. It might behoove you to get it done now before some of these other star players put their pen to paper on their deals. And you're looking at a Dak Prescott or a CeeDee Lamb situation where you could have signed Sauce Gardner this year to one number, but by the end of next year, the number's up here, right? And that's what's going to be really interesting to see how this thing plays out for both sides.
Yeah, that to me is also the belief thing because if obviously it's a new team, it's a new staff in terms of Muji and Glenn and even the coordinator Steve Wilkes and his positional coach. Everything is really different for Sauce from that perspective. But if you think the person is A+ and you think the player is really good, and that suddenly in year 4 there's not going to be just this massive drop off that didn't pre-exist, like out of nowhere, all of a sudden it was fool's gold and he really sucks. If you don't believe that, then really that's where part of the contract negotiation goes into. To your point, you wait and say prove it 1 more year, which again makes a lot of sense. Some of the fans on this show have asked for that. Let's see him a year with Aaron Glenn. Let's see him a year with Steve Wilkes and see if he can return to the same player in his first 2 years. And if he can, then we will richly reward him with whatever that deal looks like. And if we have to pay the iron price for that waiting, they're cool with it. Others are like, what are we waiting for? How often do you take a player with the 4th overall pick that's a first-team All-Pro in 2 of his first 3 seasons? That doesn't happen to the Jets, some of these fans say. And let's stop playing around here and fighting for a $27 million number versus a $30 million number. Who gives a flying hoot? He's an important cog to this machine, and you want to retain the talent. That's what you say, front office. Then put your money where your mouth is and lock this guy down.
I can't disagree with any of that. And if the deal doesn't get done before camp, I do kind of wonder if we're looking at a situation where this is an extension that gets done in October. This is an extension that gets done before the trade deadline. Maybe you're restructuring some other deals to create more cap space to get it done, where you kind of you agree, okay, go out there and you do you. We're going to take care of you. But it just seems like there's this feeling within the organization that they want to see it work in this system. They want to see that the regression a year ago was a byproduct of musical chairs at defensive coordinator. It was a byproduct of injuries wreaking havoc on that side of the football. It was a byproduct of the defense that was built to protect leads, not having those leads to protect. So it was kind of a square peg in a round hole overall. That if you can turn things around with Steve Wilkes, if you can turn things around with Aaron Glenn, if you return to that first, second team all pro caliber player, will take care of you. And if you're the Jets, you have to have that number that you're comfortable with going to, right? Because the risk is he goes out the first couple weeks and he intercepts 3 passes and he's defensive player of the week once or twice in the first month of the year. You have to have a number where, okay, we're comfortable going here. Because if you're going to play that game, if you're going to walk that tightrope of asking him to prove it, and he does, you need to be comfortable to open up the checkbook and break the bank for a player who has the pedigree and the skill set to be a cornerstone of your defense.
Nothing but gospel from our NFL insider, Matt Lombardo. Now, I'm about to flash this on the screen. This is something Sauce Gardner and apparently Ice Spice both are hoping to do a lot. Going on a shopping spree and scanning some of these barcodes. I'm giving you one, guys, right now. You should be scanning this for the QR code for between the hash marks. Get you right there, baby. Make sure you scan it. Get your cell phones out and make sure you enjoy everything we got going on here. Again, between the hash marks with our NFL insider, Matt Lombardo. We get him every week. It's a nice little slice of pie. But if you want to go to the restaurant regularly, well, the hours are open. You can go other days of the week. That's possible. Again, the link is in the YouTube description down below. So make sure you guys do it, baby. Now, Matt, okay, of course, we're wondering about contract extensions. Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? But one of the biggest mysteries for Jet fans and could have an absolute huge factor in the needle moving of this season is Tanner Angstrom. He's never been an offensive coordinator at the NFL level. Tanner was, I don't want to say feisty, but he had his first media availability since being hired by the Jets. And, some of the media members sort of questioned him on every question, like, you've never done this before. You've never done this before. And Tanner's like, I have done this before. Okay. Not at the NFL level, but I've done this before. And I am like really, really prepared for the job. He just continued to reiterate that he's feeling pretty good about it. But Jet fans still don't know what the hell is this offense going to look like. Matt Lombardo, have you cracked the Da Vinci Code that is this Jets offense in 2025?
I might have found one of the clues for the Da Vinci Code. I don't know that we've cracked the entire code, but obviously you're importing a lot of what the Detroit Lions do in the passing game, right? You're trying to stretch the field vertically when you can, when you have a guy like Garrett Wilson. But overall, you didn't bring Russell Wilson, you didn't bring Justin Fields in here, rather, to throw it 38 times per game. You didn't bring Justin Fields in here to throw it up and say, hey, Garrett Wilson's down there somewhere. So I reached out to an executive within the building who I've known for years. I said, how do you guys envision this thing taking shape with the offense? And he said, quote, I think it'll look somewhat similar to what the Eagles do. Offensive line and the running game set the table, sprinkled with manageable third down play action shots designed to keep QB runs on the table in those situations. Keep the ball, take the pressure off the defense, let them pin their ears back. It all comes down to winning on first and second downs, staying in front of the sticks, third and long, and it's difficult for everybody in the league, regardless of who your personnel is. Whereas if we get it to third and short, it gives you a chance to go for it on fourth down too, unquote. So I think you're going to see a lot of design Justin Fields runs. You're going to really lean into the mobility that he showed you those first 5 weeks in Pittsburgh a year ago. And I'm looking around. It's getting a little lonely here, but I'm still on the Justin Fields bandwagon. I still feel that there is upside there. I still feel that if you can craft the scheme built around his mobility, if he protects the football, if you lean into the short and intermediate passing game and then you air it out and pick your spots with him, he can be really effective. But I think it's going to be a lot of design runs. It's going to be leaning heavily into Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, which I'm sure we'll touch on, but I think that's the really fascinating mini camp position battle to watch going into the summer. But it's going to be a run-first offense. It's going to be leaning into what Justin Fields does best because, remember, Paul, this is effectively a one-year audition for him because if you're Aaron Glenn, if you're the new offensive coaching staff, if you're Justin Fields, you need to figure out if I'm right and I'm on the bandwagon and it's going to get a lot more crowded come Halloween and Thanksgiving and then Christmas and we don't have to look for a quarterback, or if Justin Fields just reverts to turning the football over, the passing game is limited, you become one-dimensional, then you start talking about looking at Arch Manning. You start talking about looking at Drew Aller. You start talking about looking at a quarterback class that's loaded next spring. But I think they're going to do everything they can, Paul, to set Justin Fields up for success. And as the executive told me, set up those third and short situations so that you're dictating the defenses and not worried about them pinning their ears back against you and going 3-and-out so many times per game.
One of the reasons for optimism that I think if Jet fans are optimistic, some are not, some are not, as you can see. I'm sorry, Matt, you're so lonely over there on Justin Fields Island. Hopefully we can send help immediately. But there are some Jet fans that are refusing to hop on the boat. And for those that are not, I can't really explain it for them. They have to go through their own journey. But for the people that are on the boat, they're heading towards you. Reinforcements on the way. It's because of how this Jets offensive line is constructed. That reveals a potential floor for this Jets offense that can unlock other things. ESPN analyst Booger McFarland was on a SportsCenter special after Aaron Rodgers' next destination was revealed, and they were comparing Steelers to Jets. And Booger McFarland came out and said that he believes Aaron Rodgers going from the Jets to the Steelers is a massive downgrade. And he started breaking down his opinion why. The Jets offensive line, he said, is markedly better. The Jets skill position players, in his opinion, are markedly better. And specifically, we'll start on the offensive line here as part of that conversation. He said that they could be healthy, a top 5 offensive line in football. Do you hear that kind of praise, or is that a bit too high on the hog?
I love the hyperbole. You had a top 5
Sure,
line in the
sounds
league,
great.
but on paper, you have 2 first-round bookends, right? You have Olu Fashanu. You have Amon Membo. You still have Elijah Vera Tucker, who was a former first-round pick. I mean,
Correct.
you have the pieces in place for them to take a big leap. I don't know necessarily that there's as much firepower in the passing game. I don't know that the pass catchers are even equal to DK Metcalf and Pat Fryermuth, which in and of itself is pretty limited in Pittsburgh.
Sure.
I'm an Alan Lazard skeptic. I'm not sure how that's all going to
Sure.
continue to play out. Josh Reynolds showed a lot when he was in Detroit. Does it translate? Does the system travel with the offensive coordinator? Time will tell. But I think if you're the Jets and if you're leaning into optimism and you want to feel good about the offense, those 2 backs are right on par with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris and the 2 guys that Justin Fields had behind him in Pittsburgh, right? They might even be better. They might even be more explosive. And if that offensive line makes the kind of strides that their pedigrees suggest that they should, you can run the ball really effectively. You can run the ball to set up the pass. And all of a sudden, as safeties creep up towards the line of scrimmage, Garrett Wilson is down there. He's a little bit more wide open than you would expect. And Justin Fields can hit wide open receivers. He's capable of doing that. It just comes down to improved offensive line play, Fields protecting the football, which historically has been one of his detractions, if you will, as a franchise quarterback, and running the ball effectively. And I think that they are built to do that. It's just a matter of Fields holding up his end of the bargain, and I think he's going to.
We acquired a very unique fan 2 years ago to the Jets bandwagon. In 2023, the Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers. And a fan, I have open phone lines after you get off the show, Matt, and every day on the show at 8 o'clock and beyond, I open up the phone lines for people. And in 2023, a new fan burst on the scene. I was like, who are you, new fan? And his name was B-Mac. He's a Green Bay Packers fan that wanted to follow Aaron Rodgers over to the Jets, and he joined shows and made conversation. And well, he's dropped in a question here on the chat saying, Matt, any updates with Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers? Obviously, it was announced by Adam Schefter yesterday, the specific contract details. I'm sure this is a thing that's been lighting up some of your mailbags, which again is another perk of being between the hash marks, getting some of those direct Q&A with you, Matt, and you getting to share some of your insights and sourcing around the league to answer some of these pressing questions. So what have you been hearing on now that it's actually official? Aaron Rodgers, Steelers, they've announced it. The physical went through. Everything is happening. It's what we speculated would happen, but we didn't know if it was going to happen, and now it is. It's official. What can you tell our BMAC here on anything in some of your latest mailbags this week on the Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steelers conversation.
Yeah, B-Mac, I'm pretty bearish on Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers from both sides here. And I've questioned this since the move happened when they traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. And I had an offensive coach tell me that he was shocked that the Steelers didn't try to have two field stretching dynamic wide receivers because it's so hard to dedicate your resources defensively in the secondary to covering two field stretching receivers. You have DK Metcalf, you have Pat Fryermuth, and who else? Jalen Warren, I guess, as a running back. You have an offensive line that gave up something like 48 sacks a year ago, and didn't really. And I know they have two first-round tackles. I know that there were injuries up front. I know that they're going to make some progress, but that's not an elite offensive line by any stretch of the imagination. And I had an NFL executive who's been around the league for over a decade tell me, quote, that he thinks that it was a desperate move by a desperate man trying to hold on to something he lost long ago, unquote. And I look at Aaron Rodgers and I'm kind of there, right? Because the numbers were what they were for the Jets a year ago. But you guys all watched the Jets last year. They weren't competitive. They weren't in those games. You look at the production, it was more mirage than miracle for Aaron Rodgers last year. He was hurt the year before. He wasn't good in 2022 in Green Bay. It's been a minute since we saw MVP caliber Aaron Rodgers translate, right? The numbers last year were fine. You'll take that production, close to 4,000 yards or whatever it was, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. If you're the Steelers, you'll do cartwheels getting those numbers, but they don't translate, right? And they had an elite defense in Pittsburgh a year ago. Maybe that's the difference. Maybe they're a team that gets carried by the defense. You don't have as much pressure on Aaron Rodgers to make those plays. But, I just look at this. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'd almost rather play Will Howard. I'd almost rather play Mason
Wow.
Rudolph just for this year to evaluate the same reason the Jets should be evaluating Justin Fields, because this is such a good quarterback class coming up in 2026. And if you feel like you need to get in there, that you need to go and get a franchise quarterback you can build around for a decade, you need to figure that out, right? Because I mean, we're now in Pittsburgh looking at the failed Kenny Pickett experiment, followed by a year of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, followed by a year of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers isn't getting any younger, so if this doesn't work out, what's next? A year of Kirk Cousins, a year of Carson Wentz. So what's next? A year of Sam Darnold? 2 years too late? Like it just feels like in Pittsburgh they got tantalized by the talent on defense, thinking they can win now. They got a quarterback who won a lot up until about 2021, who still puts up good numbers. They think it's going to make a difference. Paul, I'm skeptical. I think that this move doesn't move them any closer to Baltimore. I think that this move doesn't move them any closer to Buffalo or Kansas City. Defense is going to have to be elite. Maybe they will be, but I just don't see this working out any better in Pittsburgh than it did in Florham Park.
I'm just smelling a trend. And, I want to just say this right from the get-go, that there's nothing wrong with this, okay? But if I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers dating profile, older men has been sort of their calling card. Russell Wilson last year. Ben Roethlisberger in the late 30s. People saying, you should probably move on to something younger. And they're like, no. We still got something. We still got that fling from the beginning. They probably held on a little too long. Then they go Russell Wilson last year. Now Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we've sort of got a weird trend here happening. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, different strokes, different folks. But it seems like they're sort of spinning in the same cycle. As a good friend, we're supposed to tell them, hey, we're here for you. I'm not really sure what's going on here. So we'll see where that leads, Matt Lombardo.
Yeah, and they could have traded TJ Watt for a bucket of draft picks this year and next year and positioned themselves to get a couple of quarterbacks who they could try to be that young guy. But look, they have a championship caliber defense and an offense where you have two pass catchers.
Yeah.
I just don't see Aaron Rodgers thriving in that situation. You all watched Aaron Rodgers a year ago, right? How many of those sacks did he run into in New York? How many times when there was pressure did he wilt in the pocket? That offensive line is going to need to quickly live up to the pedigree of those two first-round picks if they're going to hold up. And chemistry on the offensive line takes time, right? So we'll see. I'm bearish. I mean, more power to you, B-Mac. I hope you enjoy waving the terrible towel, but I have a hard time seeing the fit. They had to do it, though. They had to do it because they had no other real options, and they were too worried about playing Will Howard with that veteran lineup.
I agree. Just to say that, the Steelers had no choice. Once they dove into this pool, you're pot committed. It's too late. There's nowhere else to go. Which I'll be kind of curious about what some of the what will ultimately happen. I think we'll all be sort of fascinated by that. Mother effing Chew gifting a Boy Green Coffee Club membership. You love to see it, baby.
Awesome.
Judge. So this membership's for those that don't understand how YouTube works. It's gifted at random. And this membership has been gifted to, reading glasses out, JC716, a Buffalo Bills fan. Now, why a Buffalo Bills fan would be subscribed to the Boy Green channel, I don't discriminate. Hey, Bills fan, Packers fan, Steelers fan, hey, anything that keeps putting bacon on the table for my family, I appreciate, but interesting nonetheless. So MFC, thank you very much for gifting that puppy, and you got yourself another raffle ticket for a contest that is for raffle tickets. Actually, we've said, and I agree with what we both sort of agreed to. That's a weird way to say that, but that Aaron Rodgers was the Steelers' only option at this point. Like, he was the guy. But the other option that was sort of like hanging in the wind as a last case break the glass emergency was Kirk Cousins. What happens with him now? There doesn't seem like there's an obvious fit. Is it really just the voodoo doll? The Falcons are hoping someone's leg breaks and then, oh, geez, it sounds like you're suddenly in the market for a quarterback. Oh, I wish we had one of those. Oh, wait, we do. Hey, can I introduce you to Kirk Cousins? Take a lot of money, give us a pick. Is that the next play here for Captain Kirk?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins' agent deserves to be in the Sports Business Hall of Fame for the amount of money that he's negotiated and guaranteed money that he's negotiated for Kirk Cousins over the life of his career, and structuring this contract that it would have been completely cost prohibitive for the Falcons to have traded him before June 1. There's a little bit of relief there now that June has come. But yeah, I mean, if you're Atlanta, what are you doing? Right? If you're the Falcons, why are you holding on to Kirk Cousins? You have Michael Penix Jr., who showed a lot of nice flashes down the stretch. Young franchise quarterback in waiting that you can build around, and he's going to be your week one starter. You've turned the page. You're going to pay $52 million to your backup quarterback, right? Like, again, maybe there's an injury. I think that's why you're holding on to him to this point. But if you're the Steelers, Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, has significantly more upside than Aaron Rodgers does at this point in his career. I think that Kirk Cousins in that situation offers more upside than Aaron Rodgers does in this career. And Paul, maybe we'll get to see it. Maybe next year we'll get to see Kirk Cousins in Pittsburgh as the next temporary bridge quarterback off the assembly line in the Iron City.
Well, let's get to this. Overall NFL question here, so it doesn't just have to be Jets related, but if you do want to say the Jets, I'm totally open to it. But I want you to have your full Rolodex here. You can pick whatever you want. I want a sleeper team. Who is a sleeper team here in 2025 that people may be talking about, may not be talking about, but you just want to make sure you plant your fat, juicy Matt Lombardo flag right in the middle of it? Who's the team?
My sleeper team, it's not necessarily a sleeper, but it's the Denver Broncos, who I think have done enough around Bo Nix this offseason and his second season to be a Super Bowl caliber team out of the AFC.
Wow.
They can play their way into that conversation. I think the Chiefs regress a little bit. I am feeling very Commanders-y about the Denver Broncos
Ooh.
because I screamed to anybody who would listen last summer, look out for Washington. Look out for Jaden Daniels. They're going to ruin somebody's day in the postseason. They can make a run. I feel the same way about the Broncos. Now, another team from an NFL scout who's been in the league for 10 years or more told me that he loves, quote unquote, I love what the Chicago Bears have done on paper. The head coach has to put it all together, but if the new look offensive line holds up, they can make some serious noise, unquote. And I love what the Bears have done, right? Because you're setting Caleb Williams up for immediate success. You've changed the culture in the span of an offseason from a disaster last year with Matt Eberflus being fired, and the TSA line on Thanksgiving, officially relieved of his duties on Black Friday. You look at what they've done, bringing in Joe Thuney, bringing in Jonah Jackson, bringing in Drew Dalman, adding Colston Loveland, an elite pass-catching tight end in round one, Luther Burden, a big-bodied possession receiver who's explosive after the catch in round two. Ben Johnson's there, so you're going to see that bombs-away offense. You might see Loveland or Cole Kmet become Sam Laporta. Love what Chicago did. I think we're going to talk about them as a playoff team, maybe even one supplanting the Minnesota Vikings in the NFC North this year.
Wow. Well, that would certainly be something. That division is absolutely insane in the main brain. Insane in the brain. Wanted to work that in. Got it. Booyah. By the way, Matt, before we get you out of here, anything you want to empty out in your notebook that we didn't get a chance to get to? 30 minutes seems like a lot of time, and then you start talking like, oh, good Lord, have mercy. 30 minutes went by in no time. So, Matt, anything else in the notebook you want to get out?
Yeah, where'd the time go, right? These are always so much fun every Sunday. But I think people, when you look at the Green Bay Packers situation, bit of a logjam there. You bring in Matthew Golden, you have these young up and coming receivers. Spoke to an executive this week who told me Jaden Reed might be the wide receiver with the highest value on the trade market. But he doesn't think Green Bay should trade him. He thinks that the uncertainty around Christian Watson's injury, the uncertainty around Romeo Doubs' work ethic the last couple of years, what you have in Savion Williams and Matthew Golden is kind of that dark cloud. But we talked about Kirk Cousins as a guy who could be traded, later on this summer if there's an injury. If the Packers' young receivers, if Matthew Golden breaks out and looks like he's going to be the next Jordan Addison, or he looks like he's going to be the next T. Higgins right away, teams are going to come calling. And if the Packers can get a high round draft pick for Jaden Reed, their leading receiver a year ago, don't be shocked if he's on the move.
Okay, that would be fascinating. All right, Matt, before we get you out of here again, between the hash marks, baby, we have a direct link down below in the YouTube description, and it's on every week. Every Sunday here in the YouTube description is that direct link to Matt Lombardo's Substack. Again, between the hash marks, latest NFL news, insights, analysis, mailbags. Come on, give us the rest of it, Matt. Give us the promo of promos. What else can they get by subscribing to Between the Hash Marks?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody who checks in and everybody who's subscribed along the way since we started doing these shows on Sunday. These Sunday mornings are a great start to the day. But yeah, between the hash marks, 4 Downs is the Monday morning column each and every Monday. It's loaded with insight and analysis, not to mention quotes from people inside the league, their thoughts on the biggest storylines across the NFL. Very interesting. Come Mondays in the regular season, think what Peter King used to write in Football Morning in America. The mailbag each Friday is loaded with quotes. You ask me the questions, I'll give you my thoughts, but I'm also going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call a scout or an agent or a coach and get the thoughts of the people inside the league answering your questions. So that's the kind of value you don't get a lot of places. And every Tuesday, the Between the Hash Marks podcast with my colleague, my mentor, Mike Tanier. We've known each other for years. Between the Hash Marks podcast, we have guests on. It's a lot of fun. It's football analysis from two veteran sports writers. And what's really interesting is during the month of June, Paul, if you subscribe, excuse me.
Yeah, I know
Sorry
this
about
gets
that.
you very emotional when you're
It
talking
does.
about
No,
this. I
yeah,
understand.
exactly. A
It hits
little
me
bit of
too.
frog in the throat, as you heard trying to rip it through the lines
Sure.
during the pre-show.
Yeah, right.
But no, if you
Right.
subscribe to Between the Hash Marks and you become an annual subscriber during the month of June, not only are we donating 20% of the proceeds to the Trevor Project in honor of Pride Month, but you also get a 6-month free trial of Mike Tanier's Two Deep Zone. So for the
Oh.
price of one annual paid subscription, you get Between the Hash Marks for a year, 6 months to try out all of the premium access at the Two Deep Zone. So 2 football newsletters for the price of one. And Paul, as always, appreciate you having me on. Love these conversations and I look forward to them every week.
And think about that. Think about that just for a moment. That you get the year of Matt Lombardo. You get some Mike Tanier action, and you feel good about it because you're getting some charitable donation to charity, for goodness sake. So come on now. It seems like it checks off all the boxes. Matt, you're somebody that checks off all the boxes. Talking about dating profiles earlier. Good Lord have mercy. So Matt, thanks as always for joining us here on the program, my friend, and we'll check back in next week.
The Jordan and Pippen show rolls on, brother.
There we go. Who is Jordan and who is Pippen? I'll let the people decide that either way. We are the champions. Hey, let the ring speak to it, baby. We got 300 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe again. Make sure you check out Matt Lombardo's direct link down to his NFL Substack. Support local journalism, people. Support local journalism. It's awesome to have Matt on the show. It's awesome to get his insights. He was telling me before the show about his training camp tour he plans on doing, which obviously gives us in-person insight to a lot of these different ones that he's going to, which is awesome. So it's so cool that Matt's become a new part of the lineup, and amazing. You can check in on that again every week, every Sunday here on the channel. Let's bleepin' go. All right, again, we got 300 people in the room. Let me see. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. We got 100 of those on YouTube right now. Beautiful. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. That's a free way to contribute to the show and put this show in front of other Jet fans around the universe. And guys, make sure you do that. We're trying to chase 10,000 subscribers. All right, we're here on a Sunday, so before we go out to the diner for some wonderful breakfast, let's see what phone calls you guys have in place. What things do you have to say? Only God knows. Hep time out. More coming up here on Boy Green Daily.
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets. Let's go.
Hep, one of the best in the business. And I just want to tell you guys, every day I'm getting people locking in their money for the Jets Cowboys Week 5, October 5th tailgate, and it excites me greatly. People, I will throw this out one more time just in case. I'm happy with the numbers we have. We're going to have over 50 people coming to this Jets Cowboys tailgate. All these Boy Green Coffee Club members. It's absolutely insane. And I love it, and I can't wait. This is going to be on our inaugural Coffee Club tailgate special with myself, James Woody. Hop on Pop's going to be there. My fiance will be there. My children will be there. You're going to meet my whole family. I believe my mom and my sister are coming. Like, really, the entire family's coming. Plus, of course, all of you out there as well. If you guys are hearing about this for the first time, I just want to say this. Reach out to me as soon as possible because the deadline is rapidly approaching from the New York Jets, but it's $300 per person for the Jets Cowboys game. That $300 gets you a ticket to the Jets Cowboys game to sit with us. That is only if you submit this money and reach out to me before the deadline that is coming up here in June. That guarantees you can sit with us. If you try to buy a ticket in like July, I can't guarantee that you guys will be able to sit with us. So just keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, if it's after the deadline, I can't guarantee that. So just keep that in mind. So there's the Jets Cowboys game ticket. There's a tailgate ticket. Chef Kevin Gilbert is making an incredible menu. We'll have more. I've already said it publicly, but I'm working on a graphic so you guys can see all the wonderful things so we can promote it all the time. And plus a commemorative Jets Cowboys t-shirt for the event. All that for $300. Great seats, great times. I can't wait for it. And I'm hoping this is something we can do every year moving forward. So it's exciting. So again, if you're just hearing about this for the first time, go, whoa, I want some of this action, then make sure you reach out to me ASAP. Zelle has not been working, so you guys will have to use PayPal or Venmo instead. That is at BoyGreen25. BOY, green the color 25. So make sure you guys reach out ASAP. Or for more information, you guys can hit me up on any social media. That is at BoyGreen25, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You guys can DM me on any of those places if you have questions. I saw Hennessy Heisman was recently asking questions about the pricing and everything of that nature. So that'd be awesome. And I see a bunch of our Jets content creators are going to be out there. The Talking Jets crew are going to be there for the season opener. Richie, Jets Media, is going to be there for the season opener. I don't think I've seen anyone else for Jets Cowboys yet, so we will rock and load with that coming up in week 5, which is going to be super cool. So, hey, baby, I hope all you guys get a chance. And then before, like I said, we move on from Matt Lombardo, I'll throw this up on the screen real quick. Again, you guys can scan this puppy. Here's a QR code to between the hash marks here on your screen. There's also a direct link in the YouTube description down below between the hash marks. I highly recommend you guys just check it out to see if you like it. Click the link, look around, and see if that's something you want to subscribe to. There is a free version and a paid version. Again, support local journalism. So if you can't afford it, 100% jump on between the hash marks with all the insights that Matt Lombardo provides. There's also a free version you guys can subscribe to as well. You don't get all the features, but you get a little bit of a taste of what it all brings to the table. So I highly recommend it. Again, whether you scan that QR code that was just on your screen or go down to the YouTube description down below, a direct link to between the hash marks with Matt Lombardo. Great to have him on the show, and thank you to him for sharing all his insights. All right. Devil's Magic, aka looks like Indy Jets changed his name here. But BG, are you on MySpace? I was on MySpace, and I assume I don't think I deleted my profile, so I'm pretty sure. I mean, I haven't looked. I'm pretty sure you can find my old. Let me see. Let's do that right now. Let me see real quick. Paul Esden Jr. MySpace. Is that even still up? Can I don't even know if you could go to myspace.com. Let me see. I haven't typed in. Google's going to be like, "Are you sure, Paul? What is this? 2005?" All right, myspace.com. Let's see if that takes us anywhere. I think. I mean, it looks totally different, so I'm not exactly sure. Paul Esden. Nope, I definitely do not come up. So no, I guess not. Sorry, Devil's Magic. You cannot find me on MySpace. Apparently not. But I tried. I tried to see. Anyhow, not available. Let's go to the phone line, so look who's available. He always is. All reliable. Pep joins us here on the program. What's up, Pep?
Hey, Paul. Hey, fellas. I was curious about, well, I'll tell you this afterwards. The Mikey Midnight Show went off the rails last night.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. Charles was, it was like 7 people on the screen.
Oh, that's
and,
always fun. Yeah.
Then we're getting into Charles's love life.
Oh, wow.
I can't even
How's that
explain
been
it.
developing? I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got his own place now. He's got his.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, great.
yeah. He got his own place. They kind of.
Oh.
Jake has been boosting him up, and now he's kind of out of the house now, and he got his own
Oh.
place. And
oh, that's great. Good for him.
yeah. So and Nick Shine too. He helps him out a lot.
Oh,
But
that's
that show,
awesome.
yeah, that show is really off the rails, man. But it's entertaining.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that's
I was
always good.
curious. Could you
Yeah.
give us the layout? I know we're going to have what the layout, the menu is, so to speak, or the plan going forward with the Jets as far as what do we have next week? We have some camp going on next week.
Yes, so our final rung of the ladder for Jets activity is a mandatory minicamp. It's a 3-day minicamp next week. The good news is that Aaron Glenn should be speaking after or before. I don't know how they do it. I'm pretty sure it's after. After every minicamp practice, he will speak. So we will hear from Aaron Glenn for 3 straight days and players on 3 straight days. And then, boom, it's a 6-week gap until training camp of nothing going on, or the only things going on are bad. Where it's off the field that we're reading some, just in newspaper headline or something coming in. So yeah, that's next thing on the docket from that perspective. For the tailgate, I should know 1,000%. I've been telling you all guys, mezzanine for a Jets ticket section. I was just talking to my ticket rep yesterday or the day before, and she said she'll have the ticket information for me. She believes that less than a week. So it's Thursday or Friday. So we should know exactly our section and stuff like that. So some of those details, tailgate wise, will start to finally solidify, which is great.
No, I was curious about, like, we have next week we have the camp, but then we have like a big layoff, right? Like 6 weeks or so.
And then, yeah, it's about 6 weeks, give or take.
Yeah. And then what do we start with? Another just camp again, right? Mandatory
Correct.
Camp.
Since COVID, they do, what's the word for this? It's going to hit me as soon as you get off the show. But it's sort of like a entry period. Like training camp used to just sort of start. You do all your measurements, bing, boom, bam, and then boom, you're practicing. Now there's acclimation. That's the word. They have an acclimation period. They used to do it for COVID because you had all these rules of literally having to go through acclimation of quarantining and stuff like that when you've been away to be. Yeah. But they've sort of kept that acclimation period. I mean, we'll see what changes potentially there with AG and Muji, but to work people into shape so they're not doing practice day 1 and we have all these pulled hamstrings left and right. So normally they sort of slow it up and then the intensity ramps up with pads and everything else coming together. So I believe we will still have a full acclimation period coming through.
And the preseason games, we're down to 3 preseason
we
games.
We are. For people that went, whoa, 3 preseason games. Yeah, the last couple of years, we've had 3 preseason games. And basically how it's worked, again, new regime, so things could potentially change as it pertains to this, is that 3rd preseason game is what the 4th preseason game used to be, where just backups play, no one plays at all. Here is the schedule, by the way, for that. Saturday, August 9th is the Jets' first preseason game. They're in Lambeau against the Green Bay Packers. The good news is the first 2 Jets preseason games are both nationally televised. They're both on NFL, or nationally televised, relatively speaking, if you have NFL Network. It's 8 o'clock for that Green Bay Packers game, Saturday, August 9th, NFL Network. It'll be live that you guys can catch. Then there's the Giants game, which will be the second one. That's Saturday, August 16th,
Oh, okay.
7 o'clock, also NFL Network. And that third game, the Jets play at home. It's 7:30, but that is not nationally televised. So you either have to have the preseason package or find some way that I would definitely not advocate here on the show of a wink, wink way to find a way around that. That is up to those who are in your own feelings about it. But yes, so yeah, we have those 3 preseason games. The third one's nothing burger. I enjoy them all, but it shouldn't have any of the stars. The thing I'll be fascinated with, does Justin Fields or Tyrod Taylor play at all? Tyrod's old and Justin's your guy, and you already crowned him QB1, so the only reason he'd be out there is for reps. And are you willing to risk that and put him out there? That I'll be sort of curious about, because it might just be the Adrian Martinez, Brady Cook show for the 3 games, but I guess we'll see.
Are we doing those shared practices again this year?
That's a good question. I have not heard anything about joint practices with the Jets. I would imagine Aaron Glenn compete would be captain joint practices, and he'd love that energy. But I've not heard any of that reported yet. I'll do a double check on that to see if it slipped through my radar, maybe during a Massachusetts trip or something that was announced and previously not seen. But I have not heard that for the Jets. No.
Thanks, Paul. See you guys in the rebound.
Thank you, Hap. Appreciate the call, brother. Always good questions as always. Yeah, let's do a quick discount double check on that. So Jets joint practices. I have not heard anything. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing stuff from last year of Jets joint practices. Doesn't look like there's anything recent. Then let me just go something over the last period of time. Let's go like past month or something. Nope. It does not look like I see that at all. So nope. Unless something, a new development comes out, it does not appear so. So we'll keep that in mind. But no joint practices for the New York Jets that I can currently see on their docket. All this stuff looks like it's from last year. All right, back to the phone lines. You got 300 people in the room. Let's ride. Dave Briga, baby. He's on the show. What's up, Dave?
Paul, how you doing this morning?
Hey, blessed. I woke up this morning.
Good. The rain finally stopped. I hope it stopped up in New York State.
Oh, finally. Good Lord.
Brother,
We've been getting pounded. Yeah.
I think it's been like, we've been with rain for like 10, 12 weekends here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just getting ready for church services. So I figured I'd give you a call in.
Of course.
Yeah. So anyway, I know everybody likes Mr. Gardner. Okay. I don't call him Sauce. I call him Gardner. Okay.
I like that.
Because he's got a lot to prove.
Yeah.
I understand. Everybody loves him. And, he's this, icon of defensive backs for the New York Jets. But listen, he's got to prove himself this year. He's going into a totally different regime here with Aaron Glenn. I think Aaron Glenn's going to demand him to be accountable. I'm not saying he's not a hard worker. That has nothing to do with it. Just his weak spots are detrimental to the overall team. And he's got to. Listen, tackling is an innate desire, okay? It doesn't come with practice. You either got it or you don't. That's basically it, okay? Interceptions, I mean, the guy's he's got brick hands, okay? I don't think he has the understanding of how to get. I've seen him try to pick the ball out of the air, and he has no idea how to do it. He's just totally confused. So you want to sign him to $30 million? And, in going down the road, we might have seen his best years. I don't know that.
Well, maybe. Okay? That's a fair point. Sure.
You know what I mean? I don't know that. But you know what? You have to take that into consideration. And yes, it's taking a risk, but life is risks. Okay. So if we were talking about the old regime, there's no doubt they would have had him signed already. But I think, Glenn, you're going to see something totally different here. I think we're going to see. I mean, we're dealing with a different timetable here as opposed to when he was playing with Parcells. The players are vastly different. It's about me now. It's not about the team. We all know that. It's no longer about the name in the front and winning. It's about how much I could get, how I could approach the next contract. And I'm not trying to be negative because this is a business, number one.
Of course.
So it's business. It's business and it's a sport, number two. It doesn't matter what it is anymore. Basketball, football, baseball, you name it. It's like golf. They're all for themselves.
Yeah.
It's very, but you got to have a team to win. And that's not saying, we're going to get back to the old days. That's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. But you have to have some semblance of accountability, of responsibility. And that, I think, was going to be the main thing that Glenn's bringing to the table. Okay?
Yeah.
Everybody has their own opinion on this. I get it. They love Sauce. They love him. They love him.
Yeah.
But yet last year, I'm not saying he was bad, but he wasn't good. He wasn't good. So that's my opinion. I watched him. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
I watched him. And he's got a lot to improve on, and I think he's going to be held accountable, just like all the other players that the salary regime, the salary regime didn't hold him accountable, But I mean, I just hope he makes it, but I don't see them signing him to any $30 million contract. I don't see it. I don't see it. Not the way Glenn operates. Now Muji, I mean, let's face it, he's the second man in control, not
That's right. We know who wears the pants. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Mr. Berger.
Right. And they're not trying to be, I'm not trying to be that I know all the answers, because I certainly don't. Because I've watched this team from the 60s on,
Right.
And I've seen different regimes. But that, you know what? And I've told Jake this myself. Outside of Kotite, who just was told he didn't care anything about, he was he was smoking cigars on the practice field. That's how bad a coach he was. But Salah was possibly, to me, one of the most, a guy that had understanding but didn't know how to apply it on the field. He only, he didn't even, his defense was just, one-tune defense. Wide nine and, just rush the passers, don't care about the run. So I think we're going to see it. This team is going to be turned upside down. I'm hoping that, because it has to change. It just has to change. The whole mentality, the whole accountability, the responsibility. These players today have to understand that is required of them. Okay. Yes. Now, whether Glenn can get that message and have them buy in, that's another story. That's the other aspect of it. But I think they respect him. So we got to pray for that happens,
That's
and as
what we're
far as
hoping
Rodgers, I'm sorry. I don't want to dominate this whole conversation.
No, please, yes.
But as far as Rodgers goes, I just want his hide up on the wall at the end of the game one. I just, I had it with that guy. He just plays everybody. He plays the Steelers too. So I want to beat them because we know, and you know yourself, we hear from these Steeler fans all the time. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them because the 70s are long gone. Those teams of Terry Bradshaw, Joe Green, and Jack.
The steel
Lambert.
curtain's closed. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. There was a different time, different players. This is not the Steelers as they knew it. That's what I tell them. Those teams,
but they think they are, Dave. That One Punch Burger. That's what they think they are. They think they're still in the 70s. They think they still got all their boys there of Lynn Swann and Mel Blount and Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris, and they think that they're that. And I'm like, hey man, wake up! It's 2025, pal. You don't have any of those people anymore. So they do have sort of this elitist mentality from the past. And I get it. They've won 6 Super Bowls. We've only won 1. I get it. They have all these championships and everything else over there from all their wonderful times. A couple of Big Ben here in the 21st century. Obviously, the 4 were Bradshaw. But, they all still think they're still the same Steelers team they were 50 years ago.
They think they're, like you say, they're elitists. They think they're
100%.
Yeah. And I deal with the Eagles fans. The Eagles fans are a little bit more reasonable because they're, for the most part, Eagles fans are real fans. The Steelers are just bandwagon fans,
Yeah.
As I see. Eagles fans, they're sold out 100%. They'll cut your throat if they have to, They're but I mean, in my area, that's what we have. And a few New York Giants fans, which, we know what the Giants are. I mean, they may have good defense this year, but that's about it. I don't know.
I think you're right.
I'm just hoping, for vast improvement this year, and that Gardner wakes up and puts his abilities into different areas that he could actually be worthy of signing a big contract. Now I know people are going to be on my case in the chat, but I come from a different time where we had to be accountable. I played on teams, we had great, hockey teams. We had great players. I mean, good players, but they needed somebody to protect them. They needed, and that's what, they had to play. You have to play as a team, basically, if we're going to win.
Yes.
And we know we need a quarterback. So without the quarterback in today's era, we're not doing anything. So it's up to Fields to come through for us. Otherwise, we'll be searching in that draft. So I'm just praying he's
We've
able
been
to
there
read the
before.
field. Yeah.
We've
It's
been
always
there
good
before.
talking to you, Paul.
Yep.
And
enjoy God's day. Enjoy church, my friend.
Well, yeah, I prepare. I'm getting prepared now, so I'll be able to get the message out later. I do a little preaching.
Oh,
pastor, yeah. So I may seem a little tough, but that's just the way I am. But what I have to put on, I don't like to compartmentalize my lifestyle, but I do come from that hockey background with, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. So we don't have to stand up against guys like B-Mac and Gary and those
there
people
you go.
that preach untruths to the people.
Screw those bastards.
I have to put it out there. But I'm glad to see Bobby back. Bobby's back.
Yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
His eye was in bad shape, but he's back on the air, and that's good for him. So I think he'll be on this afternoon, he said. So
okay.
Oh, listen, have a good Lord's Day. Bless everybody, and God bless America, my man.
There we go. USA, USA, USA. Hell yeah. Give it to me, Dave. Yeah, that's hey, if you have half that sermon coming later today, pour one out for the people. All right. I think we're in good business. Love when Dave Briga joins the show. It's been a hot second. That's good. Hennessy Heisman says no one was good on the defense last year. He says, name one player that was good on defense. Well, two off the top of my head. Will McDonald had 10.5 sacks. Now, you can say in the second half, he sort of disappeared. So we saw the pace and went, holy bleep, is this guy going to have a 15-plus sack season? And then he cooled down, and he didn't. In the second half of the year, he sort of disappeared. But 10.5 sacks is 10.5 sacks. He had a good year. What about Jamien Sherwood? Top 5 in the league in tackles, who just got handsomely paid. He's a top 5 highest paid linebacker in football right now. Michael Carter II, unfortunately, had nagging injuries all year long, the back, the ankle, the everything. So he's definitely not. Sauce obviously did not have his great year. DJ Reed, I don't think he had his great year, but either way, he got paid a bag of money, so that didn't really matter. Let me think. Quincy did not have his best year, no question. Quinnen didn't have his best year. So yeah, I'd say Will McDonald and Jamien Sherwood. Those are the two that, and obviously Jermaine got hurt. So I'd go Jamien Sherwood and Will McDonald. Those are the two names that immediately jump out to me. But I get what you're saying, Hennessy. I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I hear you. That makes sense. Now, let me just make sure I didn't miss any super chat comments or questions. Hennessy said Sherwood did not have a great year. Yeah. But we're just going to have to agree to disagree, Hennessy. The rest of the NFL disagreed. That's why the Jets had to pay Jamien Sherwood $15 million per year because he would have gotten that on the open market. I don't think he would have gotten that on the open market coming off a bad year. I thought Jamien had a really good year. And also, here's the other context that I think is important for Jamien. I think he had a good year. And not only that, this is a guy that was thrown into the mix. C.J. Mosley was supposed to be the guy. And if he's healthy all year, what happens to Jamien? Does he ever get paid? Where does he go? Does he leave and try to seek out opportunities somewhere else? Mosley getting hurt opened the door for Jamien Sherwood, who ended up having a career season. And he just so happened to be a free agent after that year. Timing's everything in life, man. And Jamien got his opportunity at exactly the right time, which obviously led to him being paid. So we'll just have to agree to disagree, I suppose, on that one. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the part I would push back on. Those are the two, I would say. And I agree with you, Hennessy, that you think Sherwood could be better this year. He's the guy now. There's no C.J. Mosley. He's clearly the leader on the team. He is the LB1. He 100% could have a much better year. And quite frankly, I'd be disappointed if he didn't. So let's see. All right, let's go to the phone lines here. We've got Devil's Magic, a.k.a. Indy Jets. Indy?
Hey, well, good morning, BG. Yeah, you got to thank Jake for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, the Pacers, when the Pacers won and I called in the next day, he wouldn't even address me as that. That's the devil's magic right there. So
Halliburton, I mean, it has been I don't even know when the thing came out because all days are coming together now. But within the last couple of months to be called Mr. Overrated and people making jokes and saying, you're only this. And then, well, that's just one buzzer beater. Well, that's just two buzzer beaters. Well, that's just three buzzer. And then the list just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I said it on my radio show. I think it was Friday that I was hosting solo. So, yeah, after game one, I said, man, I don't know what's going to happen the rest of the series. But the Pacers just seem like the team of destiny, that things are just sort of aligning in a way that you weren't expecting or thinking of, or this, and it just keeps happening. So, hey, man, maybe it is.
And I've watched that game 3 times.
What, game one?
Game one. I've watched that game 3 times. I still can't figure out how Indy won this game. You have 24 turnovers. The other team if a team has 24 turnovers, one team has 24, one has 6. The team that has 24 turnovers only has 1 steal, and the team that only has 6 turnovers has 14 steals. Which team loses?
Well, sounds like the turnover team would probably lose.
You would think, but the Pacers had, I don't understand it. I've watched this game. I mean, I'm happy that they won. Don't get me wrong. I still just can't figure out how they did it.
Yeah. Well, when you figure it out, you let us know, and don't let the Thunder know, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with what Jake said. It's just devil's magic, apparently.
Hey, and all you need is devil's magic 3 more times. I don't know how many more souls you guys have to offer, but hey, NBA championships are immortality. They live forever, man. And any way you can get one, especially for a team in the Pacers that's never won one before, that could be pretty special.
Right. But on a different note, now on the Jets note, or the Jets Steelers note, I guess, because that's the big talk of the
right. Apparently,
Aaron Rodgers, and maybe this is an opinion that some don't have, but Aaron Rodgers does not bring people up. I think people play down around him. If you look what he did in Green Bay his last year. And then, of course, then he comes to the Jets, gets hurt. Nobody played well underneath of him. I mean, Breece Hall didn't have we blame a lot of that on the coach, or some of that on the coaching. I get it.
Sure.
But you're talking about a veteran quarterback. How come he couldn't overcome some of that poor coaching with his experience? And he did. And a good example of that was, I want to say it was the Minnesota game. I don't remember exactly what game it was. We were up Breece Hall was we were on the 2-3 yard line, and he hands it off to Breece, and all we had to do was kick a field goal to win the game, I think. And they allowed, maybe that was the Colts game. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But
oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. Colts game, they have the choice. Kick the field goal and go up. Not an inconsequential amount, but you leave the door open for the Colts, or just go for it on like 4th and 2, and you can win the game. Right?
Oh, it wasn't even 4th down. I think it was 1st down. It was 1st down. They let him score the touchdown instead of taking a knee or going to Breece and saying, "Hey, don't score right now. We've got 35, 40 seconds. Make them use a couple of the timeouts. We kick a field goal. We take 25, 30 seconds off the clock." Now Colts have no timeouts. We have the lead, and we've taken time off the clock. I don't get where is this mentality of this leadership that everybody talks about? He literally looked at the coach like he wanted to do that, and then he just did it. He just did what they said, handed the ball off to Breece. They scored the touchdown. Indianapolis runs the ball down. They had all their timeouts and a minute something, like a minute 2 or something. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Richardson was just human battering ram the same play over and over again down the field. Right, we couldn't stop.
Yeah, when the guy's supposedly smart enough to go, hey, we need to take some time off the clock, or we need to take their timeouts. Either one's going to work. Kick the field goal and but so I just see that when he gets to Pittsburgh. I think that this is the beginning of the end of Tomlin.
Really?
He's at his 22-year mark or something like that.
Yes, he's 2008, I think. So what's that? 17, 18 years?
Oh, I think it was before. It was before that, wasn't it?
No, because Cowher had that last Super Bowl in the 2006-2007 range. Tomlin, I think, took over in 2008, if I remember correctly. I'll pull that up to confirm right here.
I thought it was 2002, but I could be wrong.
No, definitely not. 2007 is when he took over.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, Cowher had that last Super Bowl when they beat the Seahawks.
Yeah.
He had that team, Jerome Bettis, whatever he said, the bus forever is parked in Detroit, whatever the saying was when they won that Super Bowl, and then they threw the keys over to Tomlin. Yes.
Okay, and I just think that I don't see that Garrett Wilson had any better year under him than Garrett Wilson had under 3 different horrible quarterbacks the prior year.
Now, Garrett did set new career highs in catches, yards, and touchdown, but I would say this. I think all of us would be disappointed with the numbers, and maybe that was elitist by us, but disappointed by the numbers because we thought there was so much more meat on the bone. So Garrett did have more touchdowns than ever. He did have more yards than ever. He did have more catches than ever.
When you say more yards than ever, how many more yards? Look at it, though.
Well, you're right. It's no, I agree. It's
was it one more yard?
if you put them together, but they are more. Like the touchdowns,
I understand that.
Right? He had
it was like one.
He had 7 combined through his first 2 seasons, so that was more.
I understand the touchdowns ones.
Yeah.
But did he have that huge breakout season of 1,400 yards that you expect a Hall of Fame quarterback to raise that up?
Well, I had massive expectations. I took him whatever it was in my fantasy draft, like 7th overall. So, of course, obviously, I was expecting 115, 120 catches, 1,500 yards, and like 10 touchdowns. And I obviously did not get that. So that's true.
And so, I'm not scared. I'm not worried about going into the Pittsburgh game. And I think that is, it's not just a winnable game. We are going to win that game.
There you go, baby.
Yes. I think.
What'd you make of Woody? Did you hear what Woody said on the Thursday live show?
I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see it.
I'll tell you. Okay, so we're doing on this on Thursday, days ago. Boy Green meets Woody live. We have some stupid topic we're doing, like a real thing that's nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. In the middle of it, I get the alert on the phone, and it comes in. It says Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers. I'm like, oh, this is official. And before I even give my reaction, besides saying the news, Woody jumps in and says, automatic L. The Jets are losing that game. We're starting week 2. And I'm like, whoa. Woody, what the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean an automatic L? Could the Jets lose? Of course, anything can happen. But to just say it's a clear loss because Aaron Rodgers arrived, I'm like, what are you smoking? And then we had Badshaw super chat $5 in and say, Woody, if you're so confident, high and mighty, I'll bet you $100 right now. I got the Jets, you got the Steelers. And Woody instantly said, I agree. And I can't wait. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? What is going on? How did we? Whoa, that elevated pretty. That all escalated quickly. The Anchorman thing, and I'm like, what in the world? And now both of them are saying, hey, week 5 Jets Cowboys game, make sure you have my money ready. And I was just like, unbelievable. I just don't understand that. I don't understand the fear of Aaron Rodgers. What happened this past season? We're like, oh no, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or God knows who is coming in here. He's not. We're getting him week 1. This dude finally showed up in June. He missed all of OTAs before this. He's going to be rusty as hell. It's a brand new offense. He's got one decent receiver in DK and everyone else sucks. What are we talking about here? So I don't understand the take, but Woody was immediately on the other side. That's true.
Yeah, let's go back to even Rodgers before the Jets. His last year in Green Bay.
Right.
Let's just say that's the Rodgers that they get. Was anybody scared of him then? I mean, he won what? He went 8-9.
Right, because they lost that final game to Detroit. They had a chance to make the playoffs. If they won that, they did not. They got beaten,
and he was throwing his receivers under the bus then. Imagine what he's going to do when he doesn't have near as much rapport with these guys.
Right.
His attitude, and Mike Tomlin is a controlling guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he throws somebody. You've never heard Mike Tomlin throw anybody under the bus. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, right. Not that
he takes accountability for it. Even if his players screw up, it's my fault. It's my fault. I don't think Tomlin's going to tolerate that. Well, I told the receiver he should have been here, so that's why we threw an interception. That's not, I think that's going to sour real quick. You got fire and water between those two guys, and Tomlin's going to win that battle. No, I am not worried about. You have to think. Will McDonald has not been able to sack Aaron Rodgers in practice because he wears the red jersey. Now it's go get him. So I think that I think the Jets beat him by at least 10.
Wow. Okay, there we go, baby. Let's go. Don't say that around Woody, or he's going to be handing out more $100 bills. Apparently.
I don't think Woody wants to lose 200 on that game.
I please make sure you tune into the Tuesday or Thursday show and let that in the comments. I'd love to see
Tuesday. Matter of fact, I'll just get off when I get off here now. I will just send Woody a message saying,
please.
"You ready to You ready to double that bet and hey, you could win 200 or you could be out 200. And then we can make a little, like I said, I'm gonna come to. I think I'm gonna come to your Cowboys game.
Let's go.
So,
okay.
And so we'll have to make a little thing where Woody's handing out money. Like the ice cream truck does.
$100.
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
$100. Oh, yes.
Make him do the Oprah Winfrey thing. Here, $100 for you. You get 100. You get 100.
I'm just going to be handing. I have no bet with him, but I'm still going to have my hand out. If you're just handing all this money out, I will take it.
Exactly.
And I don't know. Yeah. Make sure that you hit me up on Discord. I want to make sure I don't currently have your name down on the sheet for the Jets Cowboys stuff. We'll figure all that stuff out. So make sure after the show or whenever you get off that you DM me on Discord, or we'll hammer all that out.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Appreciate it, BG.
All right. Thank you, pal. Unbelievable. Can't believe that's what Woody said. What a character. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Scotty Mayhem graces us with his presence. Scotty.
I'm so glad you're not using the multi-screen because you might have to pay Bobby midnight.
That's correct. And I heard Bobby's back, so out of respect for the Godfather, I don't want to disrespect the family. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no trouble. So I'm just trying to, stay in my lane here.
That's your attorney talking. I don't want you kicked off, YouTube or any of the other channels. Unbelievable show. A couple of days ago, you were married, then you weren't married. But nice. The epic part of it was an unbelievable show. Yeah. Did you get a license for that music? It sounded like something I remember from soap opera days.
It wasn't immediately. So, it played and then, there was a nice little, The Lonely Man song. And then about... 8 hours later, I got an email from YouTube saying, pal, that's from the Incredible Hulk TV show. Can you please take that off? And I said, yes. Thankfully, the cool thing is, and I have not done this, thankful to the Lord above, is if you get like a copyright strike, you could get in a lot of trouble. Thankfully, for fair use jokes or anything like that for a limited amount of time, all they offer is say, hey, if you want to keep going about your life, we'll mute that song for you right now, if that's okay. And I say, sure. And then they do it. And then when someone listens to the show, they're not going to hear any of the Hulk walking away song or anything. So yeah, I get to use it for the moment for a funny joke, and then YouTube will later take it off, which I'm like, that's fine with me as long as there's no issues.
You did notice your attorney had your back, and
I did immediately. I did see that. So hey, you've got my back, and it's good to have an attorney. I feel like no matter what situation I get myself in, give them a call. Scotty, get me out of it. So I appreciate having the best lawyer in the world.
I wasn't just looking out for you. I'm looking out for Jet Nation. I mean, we need our breakfast club in the morning.
Yes, sir.
So I just wanted the whole audience to know I did reach out to you and warn you. So
you did.
Anyway,
so we're all
going to this Jet Pittsburgh Woody BG bet. Listen, all right, I totally agree with you that we're getting them in the right time. We're getting them in week one, but let's not just dump on Karen Rodgers here. He had a pretty good year for us, even though, he was playing hurt the whole year. I really have nothing against him. It's more about indirect fire because of B-Smack. Listening to him, it's like banging my head against the wall. But listen, Indy's take on Tomlin, having, this being it. If anybody could do it, it would be Aaron Rodgers would take Tomlin down. But I think if you look at Tomlin's record, he's okay. He's
not too shabby.
Never had a losing season, BG, right? I mean,
he has never had a losing season. He took over in 2007, so that's 8. Well, I guess not including this season. It was. So what's that? 18, 19 years, whatever it is. He's never had a losing season. So he's been pretty good. He's been pretty
he's
good.
Okay. I don't even think Aaron Rodgers could take him down. But
now I don't want to disrespect Aaron Rodgers. Here's the only thing I want to say. So here's another thing Woody said on the Thursday show, which was wildly incorrect. He's like, Aaron Rodgers was top 10. So he says, automatic out. And I'm like, what in God's green earth makes you think that we're just going to lose to the Steelers week 1? He's like, dude, Aaron Rodgers was like top 10 in every major category last year. I'm like, he was? I'm like, okay, let's go through the stats. He goes, passing touchdowns. So I'm like, okay, he was top 10. Passing yards, okay, he was top 10. And I'm like, what else? He's like, Well, that's basically all. And I'm like, well, that's not every category now, is it? Now, also, I would like to say this. Aaron Rodgers had what? The second most passing attempts last year? That sounds like a volume stat. So when Josh Allen is sitting on the sideline, having a drink, Aaron Rodgers is still throwing touchdown passes or trying to in the fourth quarter because his team's down, where we lost 5 games by double-digit scores. So, that's what he was doing. So I think some of those stats are a little fugazi. The passing touchdowns or passing yards are cool, but also he had a cajillion attempts. He had more attempts than 99% of the quarterbacks in the NFL, so he was able to get to some of those numbers that other quarterbacks did not. Again, I don't want to shit on Aaron Rodgers, but, I think our opinion is going to change. Aaron Rodgers is set to speak with the media on Tuesday after his first Steelers practice. I imagine Aaron is going to have a lot to say about the Jets because those questions are going to come. Hey, how things ended with the Jets? Hey, we heard you were disrespected. Hey, now you open week 1, season opener against them. What are your thoughts? Aaron is going to let it fly at the mic, which is then going to light this fan base on fire and say, we can't wait to kill this dude in week 1. And he will have no one to blame but himself.
Remember a few years ago, he literally couldn't stand up. Quentin Williams just destroyed him in that game over and over.
Yes.
So, the only thing is our D-line isn't as good as I'd like it to be. If there was some interior help, Quentin would destroy him. But, the thing is, look, I don't think he's finished. I still think he has talent. Pittsburgh's got a good enough defense for them to make the playoffs. But I like your take. We got them week 1. We're getting them exactly when we want them because, Rodgers should have sat out a few games. He was hurt last year. He didn't sit out when he shouldn't have played. He was playing on one leg. And, that's not the reason why the Jets won 5-12. They won 5-12 because their coaching was horrendous, god awful, the worst. And, Hassan Reddick didn't help us. Hassan Poop Reddick. He just destroyed our season. Had he come in shape and played like half of what he was, we would have been so much better. But Rodgers was not the reason why we lost 6 games in the fourth quarter. We lost 6 games because our coaching was horrendous. And you're going to see this year the difference of a competent, solid coaching staff with maybe a lesser roster. I'm not saying our roster is as good as it was last year, but I like all the moves that the Jets made. I think we're going to be so thrilled to win games. They're going to be ugly. There's going to be a lot of running. But at the end of the day, I am so happy that we signed Justin Fields. I think that was an amazing signing. And I think you're going to win your bet week 1. But I am very much in the Jets' corner. I believe the Jets are going to be a wild card team. And I think it's going to shock everybody but Jet Nation for the people that are really watching and seeing the moves that are being made. But no, Indy. Mike Tomlin is not going down with the ship. He's one of the best coaches. There he is.
Scotty, how can you say this team is not?
Wait. Bobby Midnight needs to be paid.
Well, see, now we're back on 2. So BG left, so we're not breaking any rules. Oh, now he's back.
He's married.
Scotty,
he's not married. He's back.
How can you say, Scott? How can you say that this team is not as good as last year?
I said the roster on paper is not as good as it was last year, and anybody wants to debate that with
Hassan Reddick, Davante Adams, talent-wise, I would agree that this group is not as good as last year. That's talent-wise.
Hold on. Okay, so we have an offensive line that's better than what it was last year.
Who's
Do you
different?
agree?
It's the same.
No, it isn't. Who's starting left tackle now?
Well,
Right
okay,
tackle.
but you said the
Right
year.
tackle.
Like Olu Fashioner at one point was starting during the year.
We're talking about at the beginning of the year last year to the beginning of the year this year.
Sure.
We're starting this year with a better roster than we started last year. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, Indy, wait a second.
Well, I
okay?
wouldn't say
I'm
better
just gonna
roster.
debate
If we
this
want to say
with you.
specifically on the offensive line, the
No.
5 that finished versus the 5 that started, sure,
That's different.
I'd give you that. Yeah.
Listen, at the
okay,
beginning of
so-
the year, you had Morgan Moses, who is a above average right tackle. Okay, come on, he's an above average right tackle, and you had a 6-time All-Pro at your left tackle at the beginning of the year. Okay, so stop with the better roster.
And he was terrible.
It doesn't
He
matter.
was
The
terrible from
coaching-
day one.
But what about the rest of it? Like Hassan Reddick being on
Okay,
the team.
let's take
Davante
Hassan
Adams
Reddick.
being on the team.
Hassan Reddick. Let's take Hassan Reddick. We, obviously he didn't even start for the first 5 games,
Well,
or 6
even more
games,
than
or
that.
talking
It
whatever.
about
went
the
deep into
roster,
October.
Indy.
Right? Yeah.
We're
Go
just
ahead.
talking
Yeah.
about the
So
roster. We're just
Right.
talking about
Yeah.
the roster.
And so as we're going, as we're going into the season, we
You
know
don't
what
get
we
to
have.
look back. You don't get to look back and say, "Oh, they didn't have a good year." You're
Right,
looking at the
that's true
roster.
too. To say the hindsight, because like we don't know what this like. For instance, Armand Membu, he's a perfect example. We're all very high on Armand, but we haven't seen him. Like Tyron
I
Smith, we
agree.
thought what he was going to be. Hassan, we thought we knew what he was going to be. He had 50 and a half sacks for the last 4 years coming to the Jets. That was the 4th highest number in the entire National Football League. And Tyron Smith was a second-team All-Pro coming off of his last season with the Dallas Cowboys to us. So we thought they were here.
You don't get to look
So we have
back
the
after
hindsight
the
of
fact.
who was good and the hindsight of who was bad. So I think to compare it now, I'm just when people tell me, "Hey, better roster this year," I compare talent. Talent was here. Talent's now here. That doesn't mean we're going to have less wins or more wins or anything. We'll see what it means. But less talent, I think it's pretty universal that there's less talent on this team than last year.
I think our defense is more talented this year. Going into it, our cornerback safety rooms is better.
I don't know about that. Brandon Stevens is better than DJ Reed.
I think the combination of Stevens and the rookie is better than Stevens.
It's
because
easy after the fact, Indy. It's easy after the fact to say what you're saying, but if you look in hindsight, we had a top 5 roster according to every major expert in football. It's not even a debate. It's not a debate.
And we're like on
after
the same roster rankings now. To Scotty's point, we're like at 17th or 20th. I was just looking through the other day, and so like that was the NFL people, Athletic, NFL.com. ESPN,
Exactly.
They ranked the rosters. We were top 5. Now they put us at like 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. I've seen us at 22nd.
And we're sitting here, and we lost who? I mean, if they ranked us 5.
What about him?
Okay, so our number 2 wide receiver is far less than what we had in the middle of the season, and Devontae Adams' talent didn't add any more wins to it.
You're debating every major
I think
expert.
we're changing field goal posts. You were just talking about roster talent, and Devontae Adams is here, and now we're going over here and saying, well, he came in the middle of the year. He didn't give us any more wins, but he had like a 200-yard game against the Jaguars and stuff like that. So talent, we were really talented last year and only won 5 games. I think everyone would say that would just mean we underwhelmed. We didn't perform, whether that's coaching or whoever's blame we want to point to what the issues were. But if we're just talking about roster talent right now versus roster talent last year, and we're not talking about coaching, we're not talking about anything, this team is less talented. Again, I don't think that means anything like, we're going to still have 10 wins this year. Shit, we have less talent. We're going to have 2 wins. That's not what I'm saying. But just pure talent, it seems like, unless you're making prognostications, as Daria Thomas, again, we haven't seen him, so it's impossible to judge of what he's going to be. Brandon Stevens, we saw what he was. He gave up more yards than like any corner in the National Football League last year. He seems weaker than DJ. Maybe when we have the context of this season, we're like, holy shit, Brandon Stevens was way better than DJ Reed, but we don't know that right now.
What was Brandon Stevens was the number 1 corner at that time, right?
For who? Baltimore? No, Marlon Humphrey. He was there. He was the Ravens' number 2 corner.
He was the number 2.
Yes.
Okay. I just think that I don't think we're worse than. I don't know if we're better, but I don't believe that this roster is worse than the.
Oh my God! The fees that you're going to be paying, BG. Look at this. Look at the people on the screen.
Oh, he's going to get a call from Bobby Midnight going, how do you do this on the weekends? This is my show. You're stealing from me.
Andy. Can I say? Andy, what the hell do you have in that coffee? Drugs or what? What the hell are you drinking in that coffee? Jesus.
Just Maxwell House, brother. Just Maxwell House.
When are you going to stop with your goddamn Rodgers derangement syndrome? Move on already. God almighty.
I have moved on from Rodgers. We are a better team without him.
Is Aaron Rodgers? What are you talking about?
That's coming from Neil too. Can you believe it?
That's true. That's kind of crazy.
We are a better team without Rodgers.
Listen, I had a debate with Neil, I don't know, about a month ago, where Neil was going off the deep end in his, how could we lose Aaron Rodgers? I gave up my season tickets. And
there you go.
Literally the next day, thank God, we got the positive Neil with the positive juju and the positive energy. And that's the Neil I love. I don't want to hear anything about Karen Rodgers anymore. Like I'm
I love Karen Rodgers.
Neil succumbed to peer pressure. Neil succumbed to peer pressure.
That's not true. That's not true. Listen, guys, if you put a gun to my head right now, Indy, you put a gun to my head. I put a gun to your head, right? Forget about your hate of Aaron Rodgers and Pittsburgh Steelers and Tomlin's going to get fired after this season and all this other shit. Okay, right now, let's look realistically. Okay, Las Vegas is a little smarter than us. Okay, they have us right now. We're a 2.5-point underdog.
They were last year.
Excuse me.
Vegas wasn't smart last year when we were favored.
All I'm saying is this. Gun to my head. All right. We're probably going to lose that game on opener. Gun to my head. If I had to choose one or the other team.
Why? Based on what? I really need to understand.
I hope we're going to win. Trust me.
Yeah, we are going to win.
Longer than anybody on this screen.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I hope we win.
Sure.
I'm optimistic about the team. They actually, look, two things they really need to do, guys. They got to get a real number 2 receiver here before the season starts. Let's be realistic.
Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen.
Yeah, there you go. Scotty's reached out to Keenan Allen's agent.
Keenan Allen's probably ring chasing at this point. He doesn't.
That's
want
also
to come
possibly true. I've heard a lot of rumors that he wants to go to the
I'll
Chiefs.
take Amari Cooper. I'll be happy with Amari Cooper, Ted.
But Neil, real quick, answer me this, because again, we can all have different opinions here, and I'm totally cool. And I'm totally cool with us having different opinions. Not all of us have to go, oh, the Jets are going to win every game. If you don't feel that way, you don't feel that way. That's 100% okay. Woody obviously believes the Steelers are going to kick the Jets' ass. His words on Thursday. I want to spend to you. You said if a gun was to your head. What an aggressive way to start a morning. Come on. Let's hopefully that's not
especially on the Lord's Day.
If I had to say
on Lord's Day.
Gun to my head, Pittsburgh's going to win the game. Now,
why? Why do you believe that? Why do you believe that?
Why do I believe it?
Yes.
Because we know we have a new coach, we have a new offensive scheme.
Sure.
They have an established defense. I'm not talking about offensively. I'm talking about defensively. Defensively, Pittsburgh is I don't know what their ranking was last year, but they're going to go into this game with a better defense than we have. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. And defensively, if the game is close, you got to give it to Pittsburgh. I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying that Rodgers is going to light us up, but it's possibly will. I don't know if, look, DJ Metcalf is a little bit of a nightmare cover-wise for a guy like Sauce because he
needs time to get open, though. He doesn't – he's not –
Again, we got a long way to go, guys. I'm not will I be surprised if we win the game? I will be kind of surprised, but not –
BG situation.
BG, mark my words. Before the game starts, Neil will have changed his mind and said the Jets will win this game. Yep, we've got time. We've got several months before Neil will change his mind, and you got it on the show that he gun to his head. The Steelers are winning, but before the game starts, Neil will change his mind and say Jets are winning this game. You watch.
Listen, as much as you guys hate Aaron Rodgers, as much as you guys hate him, some of you. I love the guy, man.
I don't hate him. I don't hate him.
I don't hate anybody.
I think the guy took a $35 million pay cut to come to us. He wanted to play with us this year. He got better as the year went on. And he certainly is not the reason why we lost last year.
No, we didn't.
Hey, Neil. Yeah,
really forgetting.
You're sounding like Jake.
Because I saw a dreadful defense last year. Every single player, name me one guy on the defense that played better last year than the year before, except McDonald.
Neil,
Damian Sherwood.
Oh, Damian Sherwood
played well the year before. He played much better.
Whoa.
Okay, so wait a minute. So now, wait a minute.
Damian Sherwood played better. Let's go one piece at a time. Here's what Damian Sherwood. You said Jamin Sherwood played well in the year before. he had 46 tackles in 2023 with 0 sacks, 0 picks, and 0 anything else. In 2024, he had quadruple the amount of tackles, 158 tackles, sacks, everything all over the place. What do you mean Jamin was okay the year before?
That's one player out of 11
on
defense.
Name one player. We just named 2.
Give me the other 9.
Can I ask Neil a question? Can I ask Neil a question?
Go ahead, Ted. Please. Go ahead.
Neil, can I ask you a question?
Of those 9 players, which played better? Ted, I'll go to you.
Neil, let me ask you one question.
You gotta shut up long enough, Neil.
I have a question about Rodgers. Let me just say this. You just said
talk about Rodgers.
Wait.
I asked you a question.
Who
is better on our defense? Played as well last year than the year before of those 9 players that were on the field. DJ Reed sucked. Sauce sucked. Okay?
Yeah.
Quentin Williams was not what he was. He had an off year. Everybody stunk.
I agree. But let me ask you a question. You said Rodgers got better as the season went on. Okay. He had 8 touchdowns and 6 picks against 6 playoff teams. No 300-yard games. Okay. He should have been benched.
Yes. I agree with you. Yes, and here's another great stat for you. You say he got better towards the end of the year. In his last 8 games, 6 of the 8 games, Rodgers couldn't generate a touchdown in the second half of any of those games. In the second half of any of those games, 6 of the 8 games, he couldn't generate a single touchdown, whether it's rushing or passing.
Pittsburgh can have that all day. Pittsburgh can have that all day, Neil.
Can we agree that we had the worst coaching staff in football last year by a mile?
Hey, actually, before we do that, you mentioned that the Steelers' defense is clearly better than the Jets. Last season, the Steelers' defense gave up more yards than the Jets did.
What was their ranking?
Tougher division.
How many points? They gave up more points than the Jets last year? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just said total yards.
How many points did they give up versus the Jets? Come on.
They gave up 20 points per game, and the Jets gave up 23 points per game. So there's a 3 points per game difference. But the fact that the overall yardage is closer.
All right.
And I think here's the thing on the Steelers.
Exactly.
Defense. I think they have a lot of really great individual players. TJ Watt is awesome. Minkah Fitzpatrick is awesome. But as an overall unit, I think they're overrated. But if that's going to be the point we pick to, then.
But Paul, their coach is a Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
that makes a difference. Come on now. If Tomlin was wait a minute. Let me just say this to you guys. If we had a coach with the likes of a Tomlin on our team last year, do you really think we would have only won 5 games?
I think we would have done the same thing that Tomlin did and haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
I asked you a question. I think we would have at least won 8 or 9 games with Tomlin as our coach last year.
Oh, cool. Do we make the playoffs with 8 or 9 wins?
Doesn't matter. If we had 9 wins,
doesn't matter.
And that's what you get from Tomlin, Neil.
Tomlin is purgatory. Right. Where you either don't make the playoffs or make the playoffs and lose. I don't want to be in purgatory. Being where the Steelers are, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but being where the Steelers are is worse than the Jets. Being not good enough to win a championship and not shitty enough to have a top pick where they could draft a quarterback, which the last time they were able to do that, they got Ben Roethlisberger, which started their entire beautiful journey of the early success that rotted away. They're in purgatory. They're not good enough to win a championship, and they're too shitty.
Guys, I hope I'm wrong, but let me just say this to you.
All right.
If we started off with a new coach and a new defense, and we did not have a first-year coach with Glenn, and we went with Pete Carroll or we went with McCarthy, and we kept Rodgers and Devontae Adams, and we did what we did in the draft and everything else, do you think our win total would be 5.5 or more like 8.5 or 9? What would you think?
I don't know. Vegas was wrong last year, so I have no idea.
It's an irrelevant conversation.
Right now, we got the second worst win total in football, behind the Giants. So it would have been better if we had what we had. That's all I'm saying. You guys cannot.
But because it's unknown. Who cares? It's unknown.
I get it. I don't care. At this point, it doesn't matter.
Is unknown.
Hey, Neil.
And so the quote-unquote known quantity is supposedly Aaron Rodgers, who obviously was not a known quantity. Last year, he was not good enough for us.
Neil, here's a question for you about Tomlin. Does he produce a good offense?
No,
I mean,
Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith doesn't either.
I will say this to you,
Exactly.
Andy. He had two below average quarterbacks on his team.
He
And that's what
drafted
Rodgers
him.
is now.
He had
Rodgers is
Russell
now an average
Wilson,
quarterback.
and he had Russell Wilson. And
But aren't those the guys he signed?
What the guy to do?
So
Can't
you
pull
could
Rodgers
Giannis
is
as an
average.
quarterback.
Let me get this straight. You could trade for Justin Fields. You could sign Russell Wilson, and then after the fact, we say, "Well, those guys sucked." Well, he picked those guys. Doesn't he get blamed for
I
that?
get it, but you know what? If you had him coaching any team with a franchise quarterback and the offense is good, I don't want to argue that Tomlin's not a top 5 coach. You guys can't argue that. So
Neil, tell me what coach. Hold on. Tell me what coach that inherited a Super Bowl winning team wouldn't continue to be well. What coach inherits a Super Bowl winning team that doesn't do well? Any coach. And everything, once he blew that team up, he's not been able to do anything with it since.
You talk about the Steelers?
Yeah, once Roethlisberger got old,
I don't even know.
You said Tomlin had it. Neil, you said if Tomlin had a franchise quarterback, he'd be killing it. Wouldn't anybody be killing it with a franchise quarterback?
That's my point.
Like, what does that mean?
He may not even be a top 5 coach, by the way.
No,
he may
I
not
say,
even be a top 5 coach.
I will say this to you. If he had a top, 10, what's the offense? What was the offensive ranking for Pittsburgh? They don't have, we made the same point. We agree. He hasn't had a great offense to work with, but they're
Wouldn't that be his fault?
in games and they continually make the playoffs every year. I mean, they're always there. Pittsburgh is a good team. It's one of the best franchises in football for the last 20 years. He's been the coach every year. I mean, come on. Guys, if we were Pittsburgh Steelers fans,
you would be pissed. You would be pissed, Neil. You would be pissed if you were
I know a
Steelers
lot
fans.
of them are pissed.
You'd be like,
exactly.
Yeah, of course.
I speak to a lot of Pittsburgh fans that don't like Tomlin. I agree with you. I mean,
and they sure don't want Rodgers.
I don't know about that. I mean, if I had a choice between who's their other option, I mean, they have no option.
Mason Rudolph, right? Rodgers. Okay, let's not get it twisted. Rodgers is clearly an upgrade over Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
but I think that's more so speaking to Mason Rudolph than speaking to Aaron Rodgers.
I don't.
Not by much. I agree. Yeah, they would have been better off keeping Fields.
I think Fields got upset that he basically mishandled there. I don't think he wanted any more part of the Steelers.
The Steelers are friggin' idiots. That they thought they could bench his ass and they come back to him to give him the job is crazy.
In my experience, the Jets always overperform when the expectations are the least. So
you can't go on theory.
That's a good thing.
I like the fact we're playing 1:00 games. I like the fact we're under the radar. Nobody gives us a shot. That's when the Jets play their best. So I'm expecting great things. I will say this to you, okay? Tell me you guys were not watching the games last year and saying to yourself, what the hell are we doing not blitzing? Why we can't get to the quarterback? We're not blitzing.
And we're going to get that.
Why are we doing the same
screaming at the TV
and playing zone all season long when we don't have a defensive line that could get to
the quarterback? Why? You know why?
Because I was yelling at the TV saying that.
You know why? Because Kyle Shanahan was the head coach of the 49ers and they were good. Right? And Salah could just run whatever he ran. Now that we have to make adjustments, he couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah, but San Francisco, with Salah there, Ted, had a great defense. The 49ers had a great, talented defense. And even after Salah left, it was still great. Okay, so
it was Kyle Shanahan too.
As much as the defense.
And that is what
Kyle Shanahan too.
We did have that. We don't do that here. When Salah was getting pistol whipped, I was at the Jets-Bills game that this happened early in Salah's career. The Bills noticed, if we put Stephon Diggs on the opposite side of the field, Sauce doesn't travel. Guys, can we do that? Okay, great. Put him on the opposite side of the field. And they pistol whipped us down the field at the end of the first half. Saw after the game, they're like, hey, they flipped, and you didn't do anything about it. And that word salad was right there.
I was at that Dallas game, guys.
You don't do that here. So his lack of adaptability
I gotta go, guys.
is what happened there. So that's okay. Go ahead. Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.
At that Dallas game, we were there. I was there, Paul. Do you remember what kind of game, what's his name, had against us?
What, Jets-Cowboys you're talking about?
Yeah.
I was at that game as well. Yes. Dak Prescott had the game for the ages.
Now, wait a minute, but the receiver had about 300 yards against us. They put him in the
CD
slot.
Lamb's pretty good, yeah.
wait, and Sauce just sat there on the outside. They didn't make any adjustment. They kept
Sauce
Ram
dropped a
running
pick
into the
six. My
field.
father unfortunately brought this up on the show yesterday. We were sitting right there. He dropped a pick six. I would have changed the game. Cowboys score 8 points on that drive. By the way, random nugget here. First off, Floor Lily, welcome to the show. Great to have you, pal. And someone asked earlier, Neil, are you coming to the Jets Cowboys Week 5 Boy Green tailgate with Chef Kevin's food and everything else that's included?
Look, if the Jets are not 0-4 and they're still in the if they're still there, I will definitely be. I want to eat Chef Kevin's
Come on,
food.
Neil. They're not going to be 0-4. Come on.
Listen,
they're not going to be 0-4.
Again, look,
if they're 0-4,
oh God,
oh boy, is right.
All right, guys. Listen. We got a tough 4 games to start the 3 games to start the season.
I agree.
What's our first 4 games? We got
home for Pittsburgh,
Bay,
home for Buffalo, at Tampa Bay, at Miami. The Miami one is a Monday Night Football game.
I'm saying I'm more likely. Guys,
2-2. That's my guess too. Florida.
All right.
That's my guess.
I'm very likely to go. I want to go to the Miami game down.
Okay, Monday Night Football in Miami. That'll be a good one.
Games early in the year where it's it's nice down there. It's really that's one game I put on my bucket list.
Sure.
I'm not absolutely if they're 2-2 and that game's there, I'll be there. Chef Kevin, I'm anxious to have his food. I love you guys. I love the show.
Sure.
I'm definitely interested. No question about it.
All right, beautiful.
No question. Your dad's going to be there too, Paul?
He is. My dad's going to be there. My fiance, my children, my mother, my sister.
Man,
the whole gang's coming, and of course all the Boy Green Coffee Club members. So yeah.
And you got a thing with tickets and everything, right? I saw.
That's right. Yes. Yep. 100%. So reach out to me in any way. Smoke signal.
You guys got a lot of OGs here, and that's my game.
Okay. Reach out ASAP because the deadline's coming up on the ticket. So reach out ASAP, Neil.
Okay.
Hey Neil, when did you start watching the Jets? I think you're older than me, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to be 64 next week. And I've been watching them since. I was at the '68 championship game with the Raiders. My dad.
Okay.
So I've been watching that year. I want to say that year when Namath became a Jet. My dad was incensed. Loved Joe Namath. I have everything autographed with him. My dad got me everything. My dad was such a Namath guy that everything we did was with the Jets. That was our thing. I've been to Shea Stadium to watch him. I watched him with O.J. Simpson, in the snow game when he got his
that game. Yeah.
I never missed a snap. I watch every preseason game. I watch every game 2 or 3 times. I'm a knucklehead. I'm really sick. But like I said, well, guys, this whole Rodgers thing, we never had the expectations we had going into that game 2 years ago when he went out.
You're absolutely right.
Usually we have to hope things go well. We don't. We never start seasons expecting to be a Super Bowl contender. And when you hear those people say it, it's just like gets in your head and you're like, we really are. This is it. This is it. And I mean, it's just that way. And now we're back to where we always are, which is, the world thinks we're going to suck and we got to prove them otherwise, which is a nice thing to be. But, that doesn't win Super Bowls.
It's not as sexy.
It's going to come down. It's going to come down to Justin Fields and how well he advances and goes through his progressions and learns and how he's going to have to run it. He's going to have to throw. He's going to have to do.
And it's not just going to be him. One thing I will say, they really have one thing that's super positive, and that's the offensive line.
Of course.
I mean, they have, when everybody discusses the Jets' offensive line, they had a ranking. I forgot. I saw it yesterday. Like they had poor, good, really good, and elite. And I think there's 3 elite offensive lines they mentioned. The Eagles. I forget the other 2. Paul, I don't know if you saw that article.
I did not.
But they had the Jets in that good category with
I'll take good after all our years for the last 14 years. Give me good. Yeah.
No, I'm saying we're in the top 7 or 8 offensive lines of football.
Good.
And that's a good play. We haven't been in that spot for a very long time, right? I mean, I don't
2010.
remember what we had in mind.
But remember, they have to play to that expectation.
Right.
That's true
That's the
too.
whole
There's a lot
problem
of projection, right? Armand
Right.
Membu, Fashion playing 5 or 6 games last year, now play them all. Right? No, yeah, there's projection. There's no question.
It's
Well,
kind
you
of like
got to look
last
at
year's
the. I mean, look at
roster.
the depth. We really, we have. Not only do we have a good O line, we have a couple of veteran pieces that if these guys fall apart a little bit, we could stick them in. We
That's
got
true.
some.
I agree.
We have depth that we haven't had before. So
It's
from
been a
that
long time.
perspective, and the Eagles, you win when you got the trenches. And if they could put together a good offensive scheme and use Fields as a runner as well as a passer, and get Breece Hall back to where he was. Look, everybody's saying Breece Hall's washed, the whole 9 yards. Look, when I watch the game, right, and I see the handoff, when the handoff's coming to Breece Hall, there's 3 guys in the backfield because they anticipate it. They run blitz. There was no creativity in the play calling. It was just too predictable. Rodgers would check out of something. It would be a run, and he's hit 3 yards behind the backfield. So in those type of instances, it all comes down to, is this guy going to come up with a good offensive scheme? I think we have real good players there. I think we're a wide receiver 2 away from having a solid offense. I think if we got a good, Keenan Allen, again, he's going, he wants to play for the best team. But who was the other guy?
Amari?
Amari, like I said, he's a huge upgrade for us.
He's a good kid.
I think we get rid of Lazard, we bring in him, and maybe one of these 2 other kids could take off, take some of the snaps away from Amari Cooper, because he's not going to be an every down wide receiver. He's getting up in age, but he's dependable. He knows how to read routes. And you do need guys. We are so young. You need in a wide receiver room, okay? Devontae Adams was not the right guy to be in that receiver room with Garrett, because he's, him and Rodgers were best buddies. You know what I mean? But you get a guy like Amari Cooper, who's a definite Hall of Famer, and you bring him in there to that wide receiver room with young kids. That's a double-edged win for the receiver room. You got to have a veteran in each of those rooms to really help develop the young guys. Don't you think, Paul? I mean, I think that's
really do. I really do,
That's
Neil. And I would just say this,
that.
Neil, real quick. Again, if you want to go to that Jets Cowboys tailgate, reach out absolutely ASAP. We're collecting the money for that right now. It's $300 per person. That's a Jets Cowboys ticket, tailgate ticket for all of Chef Kevin's awesome food, and a T-shirt. So reach out ASAP. Email Paul A. Esden, jr@gmail.com. I'm sure the rest of the Boy Green Coffee Club would love to see you there at the tailgate. So please do, or on any social media, at BoyGreen25, BOY Green the color 25. Go ahead for Lily.
No, I saw the OGs were on, so I figured I'd join and just kind of like put in my 2 cents on it. And, did get up late this morning, but the show that's going over, which is good. No, the one comment I didn't want to make was last year's roster at the beginning. I definitely want to comment on that. Was much better on paper than the current roster. I don't think anybody.
I don't know why that's a question. When he said that, I'm like, huh? What?
It's not a question. And it just, but again, last year's roster didn't play up to expectations. And
clearly not.
It's, Rodgers had an okay season. Good season. He had a good season, solid season.
Especially for us. Sure.
Yeah, but the offensive line didn't play well. The defensive line was horrible, in my opinion. The coaching was not good, in my opinion. So this year, I mean, again, I'll go back to what I said. It's going to come down to Justin Fields and how well he progresses through the program and how he grows, and hopefully they can control the offensive line, and the offensive line is a great offensive line on paper. It's got to play it, play it out, okay. And if they can open up holes for Breece and give Justin time, I think we're gonna have a pretty decent offense. I'm still concerned about the run defense because I just feel we didn't pick up anybody. I think we got Quentin, and that's it. But I could be wrong. I said the same thing about our wide receivers last. I think it was a couple of shows ago. I go, maybe we're not there watching these guys every day. So
of course
we're sitting here as fans watching what's going on. It's like, could we? They know more than we do. So they're seeing something we're not seeing. I would have been like, why isn't Keenan Allen on his team yet? Why isn't Cooper on his team yet?
Yeah.
Why didn't we pick up a big guy at defensive tackle? But maybe the roster they feel they have the pieces. Who knows? So,
and I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt right now. This is a brand new regime, year one, right? If they say Byron Cow, right, we're like, run defense, this sucks. They're like, we got to. They're saying to themselves, hey, boy, Green Daily, thanks for supporting the show. Jets inside that building, I'm sure. But Byron Cowart, he's the answer, and then we don't know. Phil Darian Mathis, someone brought him up the other day. Maybe he's the answer, and none of us know it. Wide receiver, guys, you have no idea. Arian Smith is the second coming of the Messiah. He's awesome, and then we get to see, we go, holy shit. And if it's not, right, ultimately we're like, shit, maybe they should have picked up Amari. Maybe they should have picked up Keenan Allen. Maybe they should have picked up Brandon Guy. Then we will be able to judge it from that point. But I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I've never seen any of this coaching staff before. I have no idea. I'm not going to assume they're going to be shitty or assume they're going to be great. Let's see how it plays out. And I think you're right. This ultimate season will be told by two tales. One, does the offensive line live up to this hype? Booger McFarland said it's a top 5 offensive line football. That sounds sexy right now in June. Is that for real? Is that true? If it is, boy, the sky's the limit. Justin Fields, this coaching staff bet on Justin Fields. They identified Justin Fields. They prioritized Justin Fields. They said, we can allow him to play the quarterback position. That's an arrogant thing to say because he's been in this is his third stop in 3 years. They probably believe the same thing and they couldn't do it for whatever reason. They're self-inflicted or whatever. And now the Jets say, we can do it. Well, now prove it. So those will tell the season.
Yeah, we're going to see. Wait and see. Anyway, great show, as always. Thanks
for the call, brother. Appreciate it. Let's get a super chat in here. Devil's Magic, a.k.a. Indy Jets, with a YouTube super chat coming in here. Wow. Indy, a.k.a. Devil's Magic. You got yourself a raffle ticket or $1 away from another one. BG, thanks for the Bobby Midnight Experience without actually having Bobby. That is a gift that keeps on giving. So I'm sure I'm going to get notice to my lawyer, Scotty, later on breaking that unwritten code. I'm sure that's coming around the corner. Very much looking forward to that. Thank you very much. All right, let's go back to the phone lines here on the program. And Johnny Boy.
Hey, morning, BG. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's popping?
Oh, it's raining over here, man. But I was hearing while I was, doing stuff around the crib and everything.
Yeah.
But I wanted to jump on real quick because of the Amari Cooper conversation and everything, right? For me, so I'm gonna ask you this, right?
Okay.
Last year, do you think Josh Allen was a better quarterback than the number 8 that we had, or do you think the other way around?
Was the MVP of the league a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers, who we cut? Well, I'm gonna go Josh Allen for 500, Alex. Yes.
And then you had Amari Cooper that was there with him, right? How did Amari Cooper look last year?
He had the worst year of his career. Yeah.
So, now, no disrespect or anything to anybody else in regards to nothing like that at all. I just feel like sometimes, right, the Amari Cooper cat, I think he's done, man. Like, I don't think
could be.
I'd rather have, if I had to choose, I probably would want to get Keenan Allen. That's just what I would want. But
my lawyer approves that, by the way. Scotty approves that message. Yes.
But if I'm being 100% honest, right, I'm kind of good rolling what we have right now and continue that piece of it, because I know the whole conversation is we need a vet, we need a vet, we need a vet, we need a veteran wide receiver in there and all that. Why can't Garrett Wilson be that vet already, right? Why can't some of the players that are there already be that veteran present? I think they've done it. I mean, this dude has gone through the gauntlet of the worst of worst quarterbacks and was still able to. How many 1,000 yards did this guy have?
Who?
Garrett Wilson.
Oh, 3 straight. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, that's where I'm coming from in regards to that. Like, and the other conversation piece of all this, we have no idea. And you said it. We don't have no idea what this actual regime is going to be, right? We could continue to keep saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do this. We don't know. We just don't know. I mean, I think for me, game 1 is a prove it game for Aaron Glenn. You have the whole issue with Aaron Rodgers and blah, blah, blah. go out there, whoop that dude's ass, start proving everybody wrong, and just continue to keep doing. We're moving in silence, and I love it. And just I hope it keeps going like this, man. So I wanted to come out there and just come up and say that. You know what I mean? So BG, appreciate you, brother. And can you guys hear the thunder?
I can. I was just about to say, you brought the thunder and the lightning to Boy Green Daily. Wow.
Hey, everything. But that's my take on it, man. And I think Justin Fields, let Justin Fields be Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's getting put in a position that he could potentially really excel in. Hopefully he does. And you're right. Hopefully this line is what everybody's talking about, that this line is going to be a top line in the league itself. So it's 0-0 at the end of the day right now. The season's starting, and of course, I'm in it. Just like what Neil said, man. Yeah, I'm the same way. I freaking watched the damn game like twice, like an idiot, right? Put myself through that pain, but I watch it, and it is what it is, man. So, BG, appreciate you, brother. Keep doing your thing, man, and go Jets.
There you go. Johnny Boy, who's the co-host of Jets Worldwide, wide, all one word. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Here, let's have the Amari Cooper conversation just real quick. I just want to say this. Okay. Facts. Did Amari Cooper have the worst year of his career last year? Yes, true. He was partly in Cleveland, partly in Buffalo. When he combined the full shish kebab together of all last season, that was a career worst season for Amari Cooper. That's true. Now, my question is which path is it going? Is that an outlier season and he's actually really good, but he just had one bad year? Or is it a sign of things to come, as Johnny Boy indicated there? Hey, he had the MVP at quarterback for a half of a season, and they didn't vibe, obviously, with the numbers. They speak to it, that they didn't vibe. That could be. Now, I will tell you, when you look at Amari Cooper's stats, this is a guy that's been really good for a long time. That's what the stats say. And again, maybe he just ran out of gas. Last year, he had 20 catches for 297 yards and 2 touchdowns with the Bills. He had 24 catches, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns with the Browns. Combine that together, he had a bad year. But look, since 2019, 1,100 yards, 800 yards, bad year with the Cowboys, 2021, 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards. In 4 of the last 5 seasons entering this past year, he had 1,100 yards in 4 of those 5 seasons. Here are the catches. He had 79 catches, 92 catches, 68 catches, 78 catches, 72 catches. Catches, very high. Touchdowns during that span. 8 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. So he scored at least 5 touchdowns in all of those seasons. Well, that sounds pretty good. So the Amari Cooper numbers are quite literally this. It's quite literally this. Is it a sign of things to come this bad year, or is it an outlier? To me, I think it's an outlier. Now, why is Amari Cooper still free agent? It could be his own choice. Maybe he's waiting for the right opportunity. I don't know. Maybe he's had ops. No clue. Can't speak to that. And I agree with what For Lily just said in here. If Amari Cooper had been with the Bills since day one and was with them the whole offseason, maybe the story's a lot different than being thrown in the middle of a season where they already had that sort of stuff before. I don't know. But again, I think an Amari or Keenan either would be a tremendous help for this team. And by the way, Terrence, he comes in and says, you really want to give old-ass Cooper 1,000 yards in our team this year? Really? Amari Cooper is 30? When did that become old-ass? Because if you're saying he's an old-ass, I'm 32. What are you calling me, Terrence Hill? What are you calling me? Amari Cooper's old-ass. He's 30. 3-0. What are you talking about? Come on, Terrence. What the hell are you calling me? That's what I want to know. Okay, I got a few silver whiskers. We all see it. I'm not coloring it. I'm not hiding it. It's all right here. You can see it. Okay, I don't hide it. See, there it is. I've got white in the beard. That's okay. If I become green bean tomorrow's sun, then so be it. I don't care. Come on now. 30. He ain't that old. Maybe people just forgot how old Amari Cooper is. But either way, it's neither here nor there. The point is, as we were wrapping up the show, 400 plus people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. Thank you to all the surge of callers there. We love the support here on the channel. Shout out again to NFL insider Matt Lombardo. Appreciate you. We'll also have Nick Faria, our Jets reporter from Athlon Sports and JetsXFactor.com. He joins us every Monday at 8 o'clock. So we do 30 minutes of us, and then we welcome in Nick Faria, where the phone lines will be open and things of that nature. Rep NY, a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club, saying, keep up the good work. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for supporting the show. And I'll give another shout out. This is for going to be for Neil. This is going to be for Indy and everybody else. And before I do that real quick, for Lily and Big D with a nice super chat coming in here, baby. Wow. $9.99 super chat here. I'm 60. I must be dead then. LOL. With Terrence calling 30-year-old Amari Cooper old ass. Sorry for Lily or any of our older listeners. Yikes. Yeah, you are dead. What's double of old ass? What's that? What's that math? I'm unaware of what that math translates to, but I guess that's neither here nor there. Okay. I guess it's neither here nor there. By the way, with your previous super chat combinations, you just got yourself 4 raffle tickets for Lily and Big D. Very nice. And now you're up to 10 raffle tickets so far this month. And let's see what the math ends up being on that. I believe you were in 4th place for our raffle so far this month. So appreciate you for Lily. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you. Nice. Let's update the banner appropriately here. There you go. Nice. Our top 5 leaderboards so far this month are J-Boy, 90 raffle tickets, A-Step 10, 23, Luca 13 for Lily and Big D 10, Drake Correa, DNY for life, both tied for 5th with a 5-pack combination. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Thank you for Lily. Salute, sir. Thank you for the super chat coming in. I see another shout out coming here, and then we'll also give one more shout out before we're out of here. A member shout out. Wow. Terrence Hill's been a member for nearly a year. He celebrates his anniversary next month as a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. That's not what I meant by old ass, Paul. I'm not sure what that means if you said Amari Cooper's old ass, and then we see Amari Cooper's age, and then you're like, that's not what I meant. I'm not sure what you meant then. So I'm not sure. But either way, putting that aside, I appreciate you, Terrence. Didn't mean to misrepresent ageism. But I would say this. For people that want to go to the Jets-Cowboys tailgate with me, I will be hosting a tailgate party in the parking lot. We'll all be sitting together for the game. And everyone who goes through our bundle will get a T-shirt for a Jets-Cowboys commemorative T-shirt to commemorate the event. If you guys want to be a part of that party, time is absolutely running out. I'm trying to hold off as long as possible. There is a deadline coming up, people. There's a deadline coming up. It is $300 per person. For that $300, you get a Jets Cowboys ticket that we're all sitting together. You get a tailgate ticket. That's the food that Chef Kevin Gilbert is catering and creating for the event. We'll also provide drink, water bottles, and select alcohol. Okay? Water bottles and select alcohol. So just keep that in mind. It will not be open bar. I don't want to blow smoke up your skivvy head. Something that's not. No open bar. Water, select alcohol. You'll see it. And a commemorative T-shirt. So all that's coming up. It is $300 per person. You get the Jets Cowboys ticket, the tailgate ticket, and a commemorative T-shirt. If you're interested in joining us for that, we have about 55 people, something like that, give or take. Make sure you guys reach out to me as soon as possible. Shout out to Indy Jets, who wants to be apparently come, and Neil, who wants to come. You guys got to reach out absolutely as soon as possible. So please make sure you do so. You guys can always email me. This is my email. It's Paul, the letter ESDENJR@gmail.com. And I'll do this real quick so I can highlight it here on the screen for those watching. Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Let me highlight my own email here. Here it is. This is my email right here. I'm highlighting it on the screen. Paul, the letter ESDENJR@gmail.com. So Neil, Indy, and anyone else who is interested in going to the game, tailgate combo, reach out as soon as possible right here. And in the subject line, say Boy Green Tailgate or something. I'm interested. Paul, what do I got to do? And we got to move quick. So please definitely do so. Okay? Let me know. ASAP. We're collecting money, so I want to make sure we secure your spot. All right. So Paul, AESDENJR@gmail.com. That's also for our audio only listeners. I know we have several coming to the tailgate, which is awesome. So thank you. You guys can also reach out on any social media portal. I've had a few people do that. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. It's at BoyGreen25. BOY Green the color, which is GREEN25. That's the way to do it. Okay, everybody. Thank you all for the support. Can't wait for the tailgate. It's going to be awesome. The days continue to count down. We got a few more Jets news, notes, and nuggets to get through, which is going to be awesome. And I can't wait. Again, Nick Faria, our Jets reporter, will join us tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And also all of you. Enjoy your Sunday. Blessed be he. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for another edition of Boy Green Daily right here on the channel. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Like the video. Hit the subscribe. You guys always make it interesting.